The magic of Doctor Who is nothing is what it appears to be. The police box is not a police box. The Doctor is not an old human being. Susan is not a school child. Running through Doctor Who is the thing is, look at life. There's more to life than you think. Life is not straightforward. To get the most out of life, you need to dig a bit deeper. So I think that's part of the magic of it.
It's time for Type 40 Live, your live stream Doctor Who show, materializing at last here again for you on the Spacebook channel, whatever time zone or time stream you're joining us from. Welcome. Yes, this is Type 40 Live, hitting your screens in real time for content and conversation here on YouTube and over to Facebook in front of a live chat full of friends, fans, and companions just like you. As ever, we're in podcast form too. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Let's get stuck in to all things space and time and space, whichever way you come at that from. All sorts kicking off here in Great Britain, the home of Doctor Who. It's all going on off and on screen. So yeah, I've got a middle-aged blonde about to depart the most important job in Great Britain after a short but disastrous stint. And Liz Truss has just quit as the Prime Minister too. So it's all going on, everyone, all going on. Lots to get stuck into. Keep it coming in the live chat. And we're about to huddle round in the old Type 40 here in the time and space capsule to go for a couple of hours and to take the temperature of everything out there in the Whoniverse. We've even got a special guest, somebody we've not had on before. So that's going to be interesting too. We're a real international panel on this edition of the show. Okay, yeah, let's get started. Let's drag them all in, kicking and screaming into the console room here with me. So first of all, yes, she's here as always. It's the wonderful, the delightful, and the long-suffering Charlotte Shields.
Thank you. At least you said delightful as well as long-suffering.
Yeah, we're nearly at the finish line here, Charlotte.
Nearly. It's getting close.
The long weekend. So what are you going to do to sort of bide your time over the weekend before 7:30 on Sunday evening? Have you got a bit of a ritual that you're preparing?
No, if I'm being perfectly honest. I'm just sort of looking forward to it finally having the end point on Sunday.
I think we all are. We're going to see exactly what they've got to say about all of that, because the chat is already filling up. It's lovely to see so many people here joining us already to have your say. Yes, because we want to know your thoughts on all of this too. A major pop culture event is happening this weekend. We're going to talk about all of that and everything that's been going on this week too. So stay tuned. We'll get round to you in a moment. Let's see if he's eating or not. Let's bring in, yes, our other regular panelist. It's the writer and director and pop culture pundit with a film on Netflix at the moment now, everybody. You can go and watch that while you're waiting for The Power of the Doctor. It's Mr. Ian David Diaz back on Type 40 Live. Good to see you, mate.
Yeah, I'm eating, yeah. I'm all right. Ding dong, the witch. Well, she's almost dead anyway, so we'll find out. We'll find out on Sunday, hopefully. So
near enough. Near enough. We're nearly there, mate. Of course, you haven't been watching. You bailed on watching live new episodes of Doctor Who some time ago, but you're back. You're going to be watching the finale, aren't you?
I've been forced. So, unfortunately, I'm going to be watching it. Yeah.
Dragged back by his mates, everybody. Dragged back.
I'm going to get some smelling salts to wake up halfway through.
Yes. Oh, so stay awake. Stay awake. And you stay awake too, please, everybody. If you're watching out there on Facebook for a start, if you want to chip in with your comments, you have to hit the little blue link, and then Facebook will pick up who you are. And through the magic of the internet, Facebook will tell StreamYard. StreamYard tells us. We all get on first name terms. We can share our thoughts about this topic at an exciting time in Doctor Who history. Who else have we got? Yeah, we've got an international panel. And first of all, I think we're going over to Tasmania to connect with, yes, our self-identifying naughty boy, the one, the only, Mr. Matt Pott, back on Type 40 Live. Hello, mate.
Good morning. Good morning.
Old leader standing by.
And he's no longer in his cave, folks.
Exactly. He's got a hat. He's got a Doctor Who hat as well.
No, of course, I've got the proper one.
Yeah. Oh, very good.
Thankfully, that won't be around for too much longer.
How are you feeling, mate? Are you ready to get stuck into some Doctor Who talk with us?
Oh, absolutely. I love Doctor Who. It's part of my life. As you can see, I've got the giant robot behind me. It's fantastic.
Good stuff,
I've also got my doggy bags for all the Chibnall talk.
Excellent news. We're also joined by Shah too from Geek Ramble. Where is she? There she is. Yeah.
I know. I keep flittering in and out. My connection's really bad tonight. I'm really sorry. Well, probably a blessing, to be fair. But yeah, I'm here. I'm ready to talk. Whatever I'm going to talk about, I'm not even sure tonight. So yeah.
Wait and see. I've got some great stuff to get stuck into, not least of all what you guys have been up to. But before we get into that, we have to connect with, from the other side of the Atlantic as well, our special guest. First time on the show. I think he's been a viewer. He's been in the live chat and all that sort of thing many, many times. Done lots of YouTube and things over the years. And he is a bit of an Anglophile. So I can't wait to see what he's going to make of all of this. It's Mr. Gary Akers, the Retro Doc.
Hello, everybody. Dan,
Hello,
thank you
mate.
so much for letting me be part of the celebration. 72 hours and 50 minutes to go.
Oh my God, he knows how long.
I've got my party hat ready.
Not that we're counting at all, of course.
Never.
No.
So, Gary, just for people who don't know you, who haven't seen you or heard you before, you're a lifelong fan of Doctor Who, aren't you?
Oh, absolutely. Since I was, well, I won't say when, but I was very, very young when I started watching John Pertwee and Tom Baker on PBS, and it's been a part of my life ever since. Since I was 12.
Right. So you've seen a few come and go. It's fair to say you've seen it all happen up to now. You are the watcher.
Yes, and I'm a lot of anticipation for this, but for the wrong reasons. But yeah, it's always an odd time. I'm sure we're going to be, it's always a mix of emotions.
It is indeed a mix. Yeah, it's a cocktail, isn't it, of all sorts of intense feelings. I think it's not just about what's going on screen. It's about the connection that we've got to this show, to this central character, and the things that it kicks up from our own childhoods. And however long we've been watching the show, I think it's exactly the same. Now, we are going to be opening up memories and all our feelings about lots of this as the show goes along, as always. And you can get stuck into in the comments section. It's going to be so much fun. If it's your first time, you better brace yourselves. But please, you'll be having so much fun later on. You're going to forget. So I'm going to tell you now, please like the video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Do you know, Ian, that less than half the amount of people who watch this show regularly are actually subscribed to the channel? Can you believe that?
Really? Look,
What's
everybody's
going
just
on?
subscribe because a lot of people watch this channel, but they're not subscribed, right? As we found out recently. And you should subscribe, seriously, because we're fun. You know, what can I say?
Subscribe. Listen to what the man says. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the cloister bell so you get all the notifications about what we're doing next when we're doing it. Because we're back for another batch of these episodes, of these live streams, and this podcast dropping too. Between now and Christmas, we're going to be hitting you with lots of the good stuff. You're not going to want to miss any of it, I can promise you. Let's go and see who's joined us in the live chat early doors this time. Who can't wait to get started? Got Kelly. Kelly's here, and she says, "Scrunch time." I see what you did there. I know. I love a pun, Gary. Do you like a pun?
Well, you know, we've been living out a pun for the last 5 years, so I guess I love.
Tell me about it.
Crippling Doubloons here. He says, "Ahoy, shipmates."
So this is the place,
not sure.
to be first.
Yeah. Hi, everyone, says Lord Thoth. And this one from you there, Gary. I don't know.
Gary.
You too.
Oh.
Peter Harrington's here
chat.
too. Good evening, good afternoon. And so is the Darren Zone. We like to connect with the Darren Zone, find out what's going on over there as well. Always good to see you, Darren. Thanks for joining us. Gary Bowers here with hellos and tags for everybody. No, Gary Browser, sorry. Sorry, Gary. Wendology, also here. Good evening, or hi, Wendy.
Hi, Wendy.
It's a pleasure, Wendy. Good to see you. And Problem Being's here too. The ferociously talented Mr. Problem Being, of course, responsible for the best theme tune in Doctor Who podcast. That's the Type 40 theme and the Type 40 live theme. Good to see you, mate. And what else is going on here? Oh, Gary Browser's counting down to Christmas. I don't know. A few weeks to go until that, mate, but you do it your way. Yeah, keep rocking. And Problem Being says, I hear that Doctor Who might be returning next year. Yeah, word on the street is that it is. Yeah. Who else? TARDIS Spider. Hello from the Gulf Coast. You always say that. Where is the Gulf Coast
Hello,
exactly?
TARDIS Spider.
Where's the Gulf Coast, Charlotte? Do you know?
Oh, no idea. Geography's not my strong
That's on the
suit.
that's on the east part of the coast, like Florida, Georgia, the Carolinas.
Ah,
on the other
that's
end
why
of
we need
the
an
country from me.
Oh, I thought it had something to do with Saddam Hussein.
I know my Metabolus 3 from my Raxacora cephalopatorius, but when it comes to actual real geography, absolutely shocking. Thank you, everybody. Who else? Good evening from Richard Brooks. Hi, Richard. And
Hey, Richard.
Sam. Hello, all. How are we doing? I'm pretty good, Sam. Thanks for asking. Hope you are too.
It's been a weird day
Keep it
in
all
here
coming.
in the UK, but yeah.
It has been weird, hasn't it, Shai? It has been weird. And speaking of recent happenings of the real world, before we get stuck into all of that, you and Ian, as our resident time agents, you were out and about, weren't you, in the real world just this weekend, just gone. Where did you go? And what were you doing?
I don't know.
On a date?
I don't know why Ian is acting like it's the worst thing on the planet to be seen with me, other than the fact that I think I knocked over.
Wasn't me.
A full-size Dalek. I actually come into contact with
I'll
one.
give you the room. If you are viewers, regular viewers and listeners of the Type 40 podcast, as well as Type 40 Live, and why wouldn't you be? It's fantastic. You may have seen our episode a few weeks ago where we talked to Alex from the Who Shop in East Ham in London. Now, Ian and Shah, they went along there, didn't you, to go and meet Alex and to see the fabled Who Shop, didn't you? So this is a picture that you took, isn't it, Ian?
Yeah.
So windswept.
Yeah. Well, this what you call it? They wouldn't let me buy. Well, it's not for sale. That's a Cyberman helmet. Actually, JT pointed out where I can get one, actually, so I might actually just get one, so that's cool.
Good old JT.
Really cool. Yeah.
What the Lord of the Pre-Orders doesn't know about where you can pick up any merchandise, merchandise isn't worth knowing, really. So you made that pilgrimage out to the Who Shop, and obviously, if you're out there watching and listening, Alex and everybody at the Who Shop, yeah, thanks for your support and your shares and all that kind of thing. They are our friends at the Who Shop. You had a bit of a geek out.
We
among
did
the aisles and the shelves, didn't you?
Geek out, wasn't it? I loved it.
Yeah,
So-
we've got to say thank you to Brooke, actually. Brooke, who served us.
we
She's
do.
really
Yes,
nice.
we do.
Yeah.
Thanks so much, Brooke. And Alex is so fabulous. I love her.
Yeah.
So what swag did you both come away with then?
Oh, what do you know? I can show you.
Yeah, show and tell. Okay, what's this? What's going on?
I got Matt Smith. I got Matt Smith,
Yeah.
and then I had to get David Tennant. Oh, can't see that. David Tennant. I had to get. I haven't taken out the box. I'm scared to take him out of the box actually.
I know,
and
right?
then my favourite, which is John Pertwee, which I really love.
Oh,
yeah, man. Yeah, man. Yeah, so.
Are those porcelain?
No. What are you talking about? Plastic. Yeah.
But
I've got some stuff.
Miniature figurines, aren't they? What did you pick up, Shah?
Well, I got such a big
Here we go.
and I kept hitting Ian with it by accident. It was this big. It's genuinely so big. Okay, so.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Okay, so I got, because I desperately, I've not taken my stuff out of the box either because I just didn't want to. So I got the
JT would approve of that, by the way. JT would approve.
The mug.
Oh, okay, fine. But yeah, I got the one where it says there's no point in being a grown up, probably childish sometimes, because that is me. And of course, that's Tom Baker's thing. Then Ian was extremely kind and decided to buy me David Tennant for starters. Get me back up big, Dan. Everyone wants to see. And my ultimate favourite, of course. So I had to have him. And then I also got, my favourite Dalek, obviously. Boom. So I had to get that too. I've got nowhere to put them. I don't think I'm going to take them out of their casing because I just...
Well, no, he might exterminate your cat or something, isn't he?
Well, and every other animal that I own, exactly. Yeah. And then Sarah's going to like this, so she needs to get on and buy this as well. She didn't promise that she was going to buy it. So let me just unwrap it because I honestly haven't taken anything out. I'm sorry, it's going to be really loud while I'm whistling away.
What's Christmas in this bag? It does feel a little bit like Christmas, doesn't it, Gary?
It is. Oh, there you go.
Wow. A nicely placed Doctor Who t-shirt. So I'm going to be wearing that throughout the Christmas period, and if Sarah hasn't got one herself, then I'm going to have to buy it for her.
She's going to let her side down, isn't she?
She's going to get the t-shirts.
Yeah, it's in Type 40 Live Red as well. That couldn't be any better, really.
Exactly. But I think all in all, successful shop.
Good haul.
Yeah, we had a good time. I mean, we went to Bin Planet as well, but there was hardly any Doctor Who stuff there.
Oh my god! It was like, honestly, it was like walking through some. I don't know.
Well, you're not supposed to say that because you're supposed to say it's still selling now as much as it always has.
Exactly.
What do you think we are, the BBC?
It's good to see you had such a good time together there at the Who shop because. It's obviously been there for nearly 40 years. It is somewhat of a mecca. I have never been. I have promised Alex that I will get down there. Got this picture of you here. You got to.
I've got to meet.
You've got face to eye stalk with a Dalek.
Yeah,
as well,
you got to meet the Daleks.
I finally got to meet a Dalek in the flesh, almost.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, I was going to say, yeah.
What a great picture.
Because I remember when we went into town and you saw that Dalek, we were a good 15 feet away from the one that we saw, weren't you? But you were like a kid in a sweet shop, even though it was behind glass.
That glass straight and ran straight through to get to that Dalek, but there was no need to, and I didn't know that I was taller than a Dalek. So there you go.
Yeah,
there's a fact for you. I'm very,
we couldn't steal it either, could we? It was we you know.
No. So
it's just too big.
Ian's been very, very clever and edited out where it's like no photos, do not
do
not do that. I was like, I'll just lean on it a little bit, and that was okay. I didn't realise how much makeup I had on. Fair enough.
But that's why I want to thank Brooke, because Brooke, kind of allowed us to
take
it.
No, it's fine. No, honestly, it was great.
Executive permission there to do that.
They did give us permission, in all honesty.
Yeah.
So get yourselves down to the Who shop and visit Alex and Brooke and all the other staff there and tell them that Type 40 Live sent you. And why did they do that? Why do any of us do any of this? Why do we open our wallets and get pumped for all the pennies that we're worth? It's all for the love of Doctor Who. Of course it is. That's why we gather together and make these shows. That's why we like to get chatting with you all. That's why we're counting down these 72 hours here until the Power of the Doctor premieres on BBC One and everywhere else. Can't wait to get stuck into all of that. All for the love of Who and for him. Not so much for her. Yeah, they can keep that one. I don't know where that's going.
God.
Yeah, let's go back to Hartnell first. Hartnell first every time, everybody. Now, of course, we are within 72 hours of it all kicking off. And Charlotte, I wondered if you've been keeping tabs on the promotional side to Doctor Who this week.
As in my house, there's a TV license, so I see the BBC on channel and I can tell you, I've hardly seen the trailer. I've probably seen it since it got released, that new one. The most I can tell you, I've honestly seen it, is twice. That's as much as I've seen of it being like as a buffer in between shows. Like, I've seen Strictly loads. I know Strictly's coming on.
Yeah.
But Doctor Who, and I was even surprised by that. I was like, it's the last one. Are they not going to like be a bit of
They're not pushing
up
it
this trailer?
They're not
at all. So on the actual BBC channel, if you didn't know any better, you wouldn't be told a lot that she's going on Sunday.
Well, because if you were to read the little bits of blurb that we are getting through the Radio Times and the usual kind of organs that are in the loop, that are part of the BBC's little sort of nest, their support network, you'd think that this was the biggest thing of all time. This is the equivalent of The Force Awakens coming out, and yet obviously I haven't got a TV license, so I wouldn't know if they're trailering it very often, but I'm seeing no bus posters. I'm seeing no advertising. Nobody has stopped me and asked me about this. That's the very first time, certainly since Doctor Who's been back and there's been a big event in the show's history. It would seem to be that it's not making any impact at all.
Well,
but obviously
I can say Flux got trailered more. I can honestly say I saw the trailer for Flux more than this special.
Well, perhaps that's the reason why they're not advertising it, because Flux was a huge, big disappointment to everyone. That's why they're not pushing this. Maybe I don't know.
Hoping that people are going to forget. Well, in some ways, the worst thing, they can talk a good game, and that's the thing, isn't it, with publicity and with marketing, talking something up. But eventually, the cold reality of it is, Shah, that people are going to have to watch this eventually, aren't they? This special was made over a year. They stopped shooting this special, The Power of the Doctor, over a year ago. That was when Mandip Girl and Jodie Whittaker were last on set in those roles. So they've had a year sitting on this, and apparently the special effects, they've been very intensively worked on. I'm sure it's going to look very pretty. But in that time, it's only natural, isn't it, that fans, whether you're a fan of this era or not, it's understandable that fans build up expectation, isn't it? They've got to deliver.
Of course, yeah. I mean, isn't it madness that it was a year ago that they finished shooting that? Funnily enough, though, my mum called me today, actually, this afternoon, and she said, "What day is it that I've got to watch Doctor Who?" I've told she has to watch it. She said, "What day is it I've got to watch it?" She said, "Me and Nick, my stepdad, we've got it, but I just can't remember when it is." And I said, "Well, it's Sunday, and you kind of need to watch it for the ending because we don't know what's going to happen, but it might be something good." And she said to me, "I've seen it advertised a couple of times, but it's nothing like when we used to watch it."
That's true.
Yep.
Mind blown by that, because of course I've got to deliver, but no one's even. It doesn't matter if they deliver because no one's going to be watching it because it hasn't even been advertised.
Nobody knows it's coming on. That's the whole point, isn't it, Shah?
Exactly. Which I think is.
Jack Thursby speculates here, Shah, that she's going out with a whimper.
She shouldn't be.
Not with a bang.
I don't care what happens. She needs to go out with a bang because that's what Doctor Who
needs a
does.
good bang.
No, I agree.
I'm not quite sure what happened.
I agree, Shah, that no, in all seriousness, it's no secret that I haven't enjoyed this era either. Yeah. But
really,
she's somebody's hero, and if they're to have any sort of any credibility, and if this entire era is going to seem like it was worth any of our time, just one episode of it, they have to see it through, and they have to deliver something with confidence and make it seem like it's the biggest thing on TV. And it sounds like they're not really doing that. Will Hadcroft's watching. Good to see you, Will. Says a lot will have seen the trailer prior to BBC News tonight, as everyone was watching the news, obviously, because we've had that political news today.
Yeah.
So they cannily drop that in the link there. So that might actually do them some good. I don't know. But then again, how many people go and watch TV news anymore? Do most people get it on their smartphones? I think they probably do. So every little helps. You're quite right, Will. But it could well be too late if people have decided what they're doing already this weekend. Atomic Blonde LDN's in the chat too. Hi, Andy says, "Hi, everyone. Bit late joining. Matt, what time is it there?" She's talking to you, Matt. Pat, what time is it there in Tasmania?
Just about to hit 6:30 in the morning.
Good morning, mate.
Good morning.
Perhaps PD Rich is right, Ian, and they're not paying out money for the marketing. They're scrimping a little because the BBC are always saying they're cash strapped, aren't they?
Yeah, it does seem that way, and I'm not surprised. No one is surprised in the fandom that BBC One's not pushing this. There's more attention on David Tennant and Catherine Tate coming back than there is for the main show. Would you believe that? It's crazy to think, isn't it? So yeah, the BBC's not doing anything to promote this at all. It's not strange, but it's understandable. Put it that way.
And another thing, somebody's reminded me in the chat that John Bishop was on the One Show last night. And apparently he didn't mention the special once. I got told.
Really? What was he talking about then?
I got told afterwards. Apparently Panto. He's in Panto at Christmas. Apparently that's all he was talking about. Not Doctor Who.
You see, and in all fairness to John, he would have finished filming this a year. To him, it's the dim and distant past, isn't it?
Yeah, it's done. It's done. Listen, guys, I'm not going to enjoy watching it on Sunday. I will give you my view, and that'll be that. I'll be really happy to see her go, tell you the truth. I think she's really done some huge damage to Doctor Who and the brand and everything. I think that the sooner she goes, the better, in my opinion. I mean, no disrespect to the actress at all, I just think that what they've done to Doctor Who is unforgivable.
Has damaged it, to be honest.
Yeah, that's true as well, Matt. It's true.
It's a combination of things. I mean, there is this belief out there when you talk about Doctor Who with people, particularly on a certain social media platform, that there's only one area, one individual that you can appropriate. You can appropriate that you can attach blame to, but
she's
it's a
figurehead,
combination.
Unfortunately,
it's several people working in several different capacities, and that's what's compounded to create this problem. Just as you said, Matt, she's very visible. She's there on all the posters and things, so it's quite understandable that when she's so obviously incapable, that people are going to notice. It's not unreasonable for people to remember when somebody is so shockingly bad at their job. We've got these posters that are running. I don't know if you've seen these. Obviously, but these are very social. But these are very social media. But these are very social media orientated. Obviously, I think you have to be already following, Matt, the official accounts to see these. So we've got that same set of artworks of all the Doctors that we've seen several times that have been put through several filters already. John Pertwee with an enormous bouffant there. He looks a lot like Maggie Thatcher. So we've got those. They've been going through all the Doctors. They're the same. They're the same illustrations, just jazzed up a little bit with a few quotes. And then there's new photography there attached to all the cast of the Power of the Doctor, which it is literally just swapping out one face for the other.
Yeah, it's lazy, isn't it? It's lazy.
A little, I think, Ian. I think it is, yeah.
Very lazy.
Because at the end of the day, I mean, these are obviously on social media accounts. If you're interested in Doctor Who, you're getting these anyway. They're not going to, I don't think they're going to attract the attention of a floater, of somebody who is not sure whether they're going to watch it or not. I was thinking
of a bit of poo floating in the loo. That's when you said floater.
Lovely.
I don't like knocking other people's work, and it's lovely to see Sophie there in particular. But I think that there should be something a bit stronger rather than artwork that we've seen before. And simple faces being swapped in and out.
Why are they always faces?
I actually just thought of something, Dan. The picture of Sophie you just showed, right? Yeah. Anybody just kind of floating around, there's nothing actually really to indicate that that's actually promoting an upcoming TV episode.
No, you're right.
The Power of the Doctor could be just a general saying about the show itself. The Power of the Doctor. Nothing to indicate, hey, this is a television show that's coming on in 2 days. That could be just a generic thing about the series.
Just
itself.
Makes me feel old, it does. Because Sophie Aldred, I had the biggest crush on when she was first in with Sylvester.
Did you see that picture of her? She's dressed like Ace with the jacket on and a baseball. And I was thinking to myself, why would you do that? Why? She's older now. Why would you put the old clothes back on with the baseball bat?
I would never ever probably wouldn't even fit in it, mate.
In fairness, that's going to be part of the story. I think we've got to wait to see how that happens. If she doesn't do some of those things, it's like would you get Louise Jameson in there and not put her in leather?
No, you wouldn't do that. You wouldn't do that. You've literally told us the problem with putting her in that costume.
It's no sense. In my head.
No, let's dial it back a little bit. You would make make it visually obvious to people who would have last seen that character in 1989. Yes, this is that girl. So if she's wearing that jacket, I remember her. I remember the catchphrase. I remember the look, the shorthand. People who haven't seen those episodes since, who certainly won't know who Sophie Aldred is if they catch sight of that jacket. If they were kids, if they were 13, 14 in 89, but it may chime with something that they'd forgotten how much they liked it, or they had a crush on that girl, or whatever else. Yeah, of course they've got to have a good reason.
But they better have a good reason why she wears that jacket. Do you know what I mean? Not that she just turns up.
It's imbued with special powers. Okay. She got it rubbed off on a Dalek. Powers. And so that's the reason why she's got to wear it.
So what are you going to say, Shah? What are you going to say?
I can't remember.
No, Shah is right. It's just fan service.
It's fan service. It's
that's what I
said.
That's fine. We are fans, but a fan service is okay, particularly on anniversaries.
They haven't given that to us for 5 years, have they?
Well, isn't it about time then, Matt?
Friggin' late.
Trying to recreate it.
We've got a comment here from Tony. We've got a comment here from Tony L, who says that Queen Charlotte's right. It's all on social media, the promo stuff. John Bishop was on the One Show yesterday, and they mentioned it briefly. It was very odd. And Jodie and Mandip are not on any UK chat shows. No, you're quite right, Tony. They're not. But they are on Saturday. So the day before, they're not on the Graham Norton show. They're not on any of these big shows anywhere. But you know where they are on Saturday? They're talking to Carol Vorderman on BBC Wales between 11:30 and 12.
Is that on radio?
Yeah, it is.
Radio? Oh, God.
To Carol Vorderman, everybody. Okay, Carol's a lovely enough woman. I'm sure she is. But that's going to be.
Never heard of her.
No, she's not. But you go where the work is, don't you, Kaza? So that's all that sort of artwork out of the way. But we have the main artwork, of course. We have this glorious poster. We talked about this on the last edition of the podcast. This poster is. This is the one they're going with, isn't it? So we've got this. Yeah, it's sort of designed by numbers in many respects, I think, isn't it, Ian?
It's really bad, and to this day I still hate those trousers. It's just so stupid. Why can't I've got trousers that fit her? It just looks really dark, and the design's just rubbish. It really is. Sorry, go ahead, Matt.
Again, going out with a whimper there, I think. But this poster,
I didn't even know she wore trousers until they actually had a full side shot of it, because it's mostly of her face. But it's
strangely enough, Matt, this poster, which I think is largely inconsequential, and it's like 1,000,001 posters for 1,000,001 other things, and the elements in there don't really tell you anything or stoke you up for a story. In fact, you could be forgiven for thinking that was simply the same promotional image that they put out when Jodie was first shown in a costume, whenever it was, like 4 years ago. But this poster has, Ian, been in the centre of some controversy of its own this week. I don't know if you're aware of what I'm going to term as a knobgate. Have you heard about this?
No.
Inside, is there?
So this poster, this has come out, and very, very quickly, within 12 or 15 hours, people noticed a member there.
Yeah.
Of the
oh no!
So we've got to drop a big old cock there in the illustration.
That's just like the Little Mermaid poster.
I told you.
Back in the day.
A little unfortunate.
Well, she's going out with a bang, isn't she?
You could say, Matt, this is Chibnall giving fans the shaft one last time.
I mean, I'm no expert, but is that what it is?
does look like
books,
it.
Obviously, but...
Yeah, it's a little bit suspect. If they can't see that, then that's going to say that Alpha Centauri wasn't.
Well, hold on. What is it meant to be?
It's Alpha Centauri.
What is it meant to be, though?
Yeah.
Is it meant to be like a wave of electricity or something, or what?
Your guess as good as mine.
Clearly, that means it's going to be a big part of the actual story.
What?
That'll pull the viewers.
Well, it's not a big part. Oh,
she goes to a mushroom planet.
Actually, she does, I think.
Well, people are speculating in the chat they could be off to the planet Dildo. That's the planet from the rescue, wasn't it? That Vicky was picked up from. It could be something to do with that. Somewhat unfamiliar and stylized, says Robert Payne. And shouldn't be that excited, should it? Said Gary Browser. Well, some people are more excited for this special than others. They're obviously hedging their bets a little.
Something's obviously exciting on that poster.
Yeah, oh dear, the naughty BBC, says PD Rich. Yeah, it's a bit unfortunate, a bit strange, but yeah, the way I look at it, it means that Bad Wolf, they couldn't really do much worse. They couldn't really do much worse than that, could they?
Couldn't.
Even, you were worried, Ian, about Shooty's nipples being on the next poster. I think after Dirty Great Cock on this,
right?
yes.
That is probably Shooty.
Oh no! Come on! It's David Tennant. We all know his nickname. On set.
I had forgotten
Where's
that.
JT's fan when I need it?
Yeah.
Well, this stream's taking a turn.
It's going to be interesting.
It's always like this.
Sorry.
Captain Jack's coming back.
It's going to be interesting in November because me and Shah are going to go to the Winter Comic Con, and she's going to be there, right? Is it the Sunday she's going to be there?
Yes.
Yeah, Sunday.
Oh,
so I want to see how many fans actually line up to go and see her.
I will pay for you to go and see her. I will pay for you to go and wait in line.
You couldn't pay me enough.
You don't have to wait in line because it won't be much of a line.
Ian,
I will pay for you to go and actually ask for a signing, right?
Of that poster right in that area.
Right, really?
You'll have plenty of time to talk to her.
No.
Do you know that she's actually?
And you can tell her what you're really thinking.
Shaw, what was that?
That's right. She's less expensive than who was it, Ian? I think
it was Sylvester McCoy, wasn't it? Or was it Colin Baker?
Sylvester McCoy's £35, which, by the way, I am also meeting.
Okay.
Wow, really less?
And Matt Smith, I can't wait to ask for his hand in marriage.
Well,
I'm so excited.
I'm going to be videoing Shah meeting Matt Smith because she wants to marry him. So I want to see her go down on one knee and stuff like that. Would be interesting, wouldn't it? So so that's going to be
a bit of a
interesting.
disappointment with Matt Smith.
Well.
Joyan House Targaryen there. Jack Thursby asks about that poster. Is it her Sonic? I don't think it is, although I understand why you would wonder. And Kelly asks, who is actually going to watch this episode, The Power of the Doctor, in its entirety? We've got a hand up there from Charlotte. We've got one up from Shah. We've got two hands up from Gary there.
I will.
A hand up from Ian. Matt, I know you've stayed away from
I asked
every
people if they'd like me to see it, and it was absolutely no. No one wanted me to watch it. So
Come on, Matt, just do it.
I was going to watch it. I was, because I want to see her go.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I might actually just cheat and watch the end.
Well, if we've got a suffer, then why can't you?
Exactly.
Because I've done all right in the last 5 years not watching it at all.
So obviously that's the poster that they've gone with. I think that, fandom has a favourite bit of art connected with this event. I think it's been doing the rounds for a couple of years. This fabulous bit of fan art that I have no idea, still have no idea, Ian, who created this. We've shared it several times. We used it as the thumbnail artwork for the video edition of this show the night that we heard that Jodie was leaving. This is still everywhere, and it does seem that this is going to be borne out. This is going to be some reflection of what's actually going to happen on screen come Sunday. Because
God, I do not want any other Doctor to be regenerating into a TARDIS. She obviously gets that pissed off because she just chucks them out every single time.
Yeah.
So it'll be nice.
I just want to watch the I know this is really, really awful, but I'm going to watch all the reactionary videos of people watching her regenerate, and then because they really they're lovers of her, and just to see him going, no, I'm just going to enjoy it.
I can't
You're
be
a horrible
cruel. Because sincerely, I know there are 5 or 6 people on Twitter who are really excited about this, but there are people out there who are going to be making reaction videos, and they're going to put these things out. And I know some of them are definitely staged. I know that for a fact.
Yeah.
But there'll be some that are sincere. And truly, if you are losing your Doctor this coming weekend, we've all been there. It's what our first time, even for that. And you have my sympathy and our support. We are for all fans and the entire fandom experience here at Type 40 and Type 40 Live. You can come and take solace with us too, and we'll help you through it with more mirth, nonsense.
I'm going to enjoy it.
And discussion there, and a little bit of gloating there from Mr. Matt Potts. iTunes nearly blew this. So iTunes have got this special up already on their menu. So we've got this here. So you can get the special, you can order the special, and several extras. So there's the trailer, and there's a little sort of featurette. Farewell, Jodie and Mandip. Yeah, see you.
Good riddance.
Bye-bye. But there is a thing at the bottom there that says behind the scenes, and people very quickly zoomed in on that and saw this image there of Jodie Whittaker regenerating or appearing to regenerate there on the edge of a cliff there on the thumbnail.
Did she get pushed?
Do you think didn't that great reminder about to give a growth stuff?
I can see she's gonna regenerate and fall into the ocean. Yeah, she's gonna regenerate and fall into the ocean, and then someone that we all know and love will probably come out of the ocean all nude.
That's
looking like Daniel Craig.
It'll
Excellent.
give it a bit of a it'll give the fans a bit of a rub.
No. I want to see whoever's taken over. I want to see whoever should get to be in that costume. That'd be hilarious. Absolutely hilarious.
We talked
it's in
about
his
that
contract that he doesn't wear that costume.
I believe that isn't actually a scene from the.
Right.
To me, that doesn't look like a photograph. It looks like what they would call an animatic. And from what I understand, this regeneration is going to be different to all the others. It's going to be over a longer period of time. So it could be anything. We've also got the thing with the fob watch going on. We've seen so literally anything could be happening there. And I don't even think it's
how many times did Peter Capaldi start regenerating?
I know,
so it could be.
He's going to copy, and we're going to get a prolonged fake regeneration.
Yeah.
So that would make sense. That image to be part of the fake regeneration is my.
I think so. Yeah, I would probably agree with that too. But this is what they're billing as her. This is what they're billing as her final battle coming up in a couple of days. We're going to talk some more about that a little later. We're going to talk some more about that a little bit later on. And it's all for the love of Doctor Who. That's why we do what we do here. That's why we like talking to you guys, talking to one another. And that's what it's all about. Whether Jodie Whittaker is your doctor. The one or two of you could be that Jodie is your doctor, and that's fine.
And that's okay. You're a special person if you do.
That's horrible, Matt. What's wrong with you, Matt?
I'm being nice.
And that's why we make this content for you guys, for everybody out there, whatever Doctor Who that you're into, wherever you joined it, and you can find everything that we put out on the home feed, the dedicated home feed at type40.podbean.com, or we're across all major podcatchers. You can get every edition of Type 40 Live, the audio tracks of these very conversations, all over there for you to enjoy, to get them into your ears over and over again. If you can't believe the stuff that we come out with, you can play it in the car or while you're doing the washing up. God, they really did say that. They really did crack that terrible old dad joke. Yeah, it's all there for you to listen to over and over and over again, as well as every episode of Type 40 itself. The latest episode we dropped a few days ago, that was myself and Charlotte and poor Kyle Wagner. When we got together, Charlotte, and we talked about Legend of the Sea Devils a few weeks ago. That was a blinder, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah. It can't get worse than that, folks, at least. I hope.
You've forgiven me, yes.
I just went to
watch that twice.
I just went to the chat just a minute ago. I haven't been on it for like 5 minutes, and it just went because there's so many people talking. They're like, what the hell?
It's a busy live chat. They're talking amongst themselves and talking to us too. Yes, it's great to see so many people here, and they're comparing prices on autographs and all that kind of thing, on signed merch and all that jazz when you go to these events, Collectomania, just like you two are going to do. Sadako 24 says that I'm going to wait for fan reactions. If I hear it's been anything like another Timeless Children, I'll just avoid it. If not, I'll give it a watch. So people are understandably, because it's everybody's Sunday evening or Sunday afternoon or whatever else. It's quite right, isn't it, Gary? It's only reasonable that as much as we love Doctor Who, they've pushed people so far. They've got to compete with the other things that we enjoy doing in our lives, or the other people in our lives, haven't they?
Well, see, that's why I think, Dan, I mean, you're exactly right. And that's why I think that anybody that puts up just the short YouTube videos, the actual regenerations, those are probably going to get views all over the place, because that's the only thing really people care about. I think the only two things people, well, I don't want to speak like I know what's in people's hearts, but it seems to me like the only thing I'm actually really interested in is the nature of the regeneration itself. Is David Tennant actually going to show up at the end? And two, are they going to retcon Timeless Children? Those are the only two things I really care about, because I think that unless they retcon the Timeless Children, I honestly don't think that anything RTD does is going to matter in the minds of a lot of fans.
Yeah. No, I totally agree with you, Gary. I mean, I'm hoping that they're going to retcon it. And we did, I think with Charlotte and Dan, I think in the last stream, we were actually talking about how they're going to do it. And we were discussing our ideas on how they should do it and stuff like that. So check that one out, guys. Check that one out. So yeah, no, I totally agree with you, Gary.
How many years has this been going on for now, this Timeless Child?
Yeah, boy. Sorry, mate.
Like 2 years, 3 years? They haven't done anything?
I actually do want to say, Dan, that and I know that, this channel is always great about, as much as we kid about, how much we're anticipating, wanting Jodie to be gone. But, we're fans of the show too. And, we do respect the fact that some people have taken this era to their hearts. We might not agree, but you have to, as Dan has said, acknowledge that some people have. And I actually think that, in a way, that's a testament to the power of this concept with what Sidney Newman and Barry Lambert originally came up with, that even when the show is done badly, in our opinion, there's still something about the power of the concept that can still, excite the passion and the dedication that the fans have. And I actually think, like I said, that's a testament to the show.
When you're a kid, right, you always, and I'm speaking for myself here, and I'm assuming this happened to everyone, you always pretend you were the Doctor when you're a kid. Always. The idea of traveling through time and space, you didn't?
Oh, you could regenerate,
I did, exactly. But obviously over the last few years, I think
but over the last few years, of course,
I've become aware. You see, I thought for a very long time that everybody received it the way that you and I did, Ian. But it turns out there's a big chunk of the fandom out there that actually fantasize more about being the companion.
Really?
Yeah, I know. Surprised me as well. But it is a thing. I suppose it depends on the kind of person. Russell T Davies is one of them. He always imagined the Doctor turning up and taking him away rather than him being the Doctor.
He would.
I bet. Take me in your arms.
Seriously, we love you, Russell. Don't listen to him. Don't listen to him. Doc Martin's here, armchair time traveler, who says, "Let me know how the regeneration goes because I won't be watching." Yeah. The thing is, we spoke about this in the podcast. They will clip that and they will put that out. That'll be online on YouTube and whatever else, probably within 5 minutes of the show finishing. So you can see why some people would view it as a valuable option there.
Well, they shot Sylvester McCoy, didn't they? He came out of the TARDIS and somebody shot him. So I'm just hoping that will happen to Jodie. She'll get sapped or something.
One more question here from Will Hadcroft, who asks, this is a question that I've been asked several times. Would the Spacebook ever have someone who loves Whittaker and Chibnall on as a guest and genuinely engage them? Not that I know any, he adds. Yes, of course. In fact, there's been several. Plenty of people do. I mean, obviously, the profile of this show has grown considerably since we first started it, and YouTube is very different to podcasting and all that kind of thing. But people do say, "Oh, you're just an echo chamber. You just want to speak to this, you speak to that. You speak to people who agree with you." That's sincerely not how it is. I mean, if you go back and look through the playlist, and say Char's got very different takes to some of us on some things. Myself and Ian disagree all the time. Yeah. And it very much is a place where all views are genuinely encouraged. It just so happens that just like I think it's very, very clear, just as you say, Will, most of fandom cannot stand the Whittaker era and certainly think that her performance has been lackluster. So finding those people and getting them to sort of open up and talk about it, it's quite hard. Because I think there are genuinely some people who have enjoyed it, who are just happy that Doctor Who's on. And I think that they're aware in their heart of hearts that they can't really defend. Like, for example, I like a load of really bad movies. And I never feel that I'm under any pressure or any obligation to defend the reason why I like watching Breakdance 2 Electric Boogaloo. Why should I? It's my movie. I enjoy it in my way. And I think, in all fairness, if I'm trying to be generous, that's the reason why people on that side of the aisle, that's the real reason why they don't want to talk, don't want to converse.
But occasionally,
hang on, Ian.
Go on, Dan. Go on.
But I am frequently approached by people who say they'd like to come on. And I sort it all out. And I've even sent some of them links. It's been 10 minutes to the show. And at the very last minute, they've there's been a failure to launch. Sometimes it's been for reasons that I 100% believe, and sometimes they've lost their nerve for whatever reason.
You're absolutely right, Dan.
But the door's always open, Ian. The door is always open.
I know. And Dan speaks the truth. And as I said, I know loads of people that like the Jodie era, and I've spoken to them stuff like. But the one thing I don't do, or they don't do, is really, wish you to be dead. Because do you know what I mean? Like, you meet so many fans that, like, they get really angry and whatever, and they don't want to speak to you ever again. But I in fact, at the top of my head, I know 5 people that like the Jodie era, and we've had discussions about it. But what we don't do is we don't hit each other or shout at each other or anything like that, because it's just a discussion. And at the end of the day, it's just a beloved TV show that we all love, that we all want to see back. That's all. Yeah. But it's the ones that, as Dan mentioned, it's the ones that are really sort of passionate and too passionate about it and don't want to hear what you're saying or anything like that. It's those ones.
Absolutely. Consumed, obsessed. Yes, I agree with you, Shaw.
Absolutely. People will take the opportunity to shit all over it. That could have been the most wonderful poster. It can be the most wonderful episode on Sunday, and people will still hate it because they really enjoy to hate this era. And I'm really sorry to say it, but Matt, it's true. You get it on both sides.
I know. I agree with you.
Oh, sorry, I thought you were shaking your head.
No. I actually do agree with you. Look, Shah, I know that you think that I hate it and everything like that. Look, I would it surprise you to know that I own the Series 11 Blu-ray set, and I also own the special thing, whatever they did for New Year's Day or whatever, on Blu-ray, because I was willing to give it a chance, but I wanted to wait. I was happy to wait 1 year and see how it all went, and it went to shit. I'm sorry, it went to shit quick. And in the halfway through that second series, it went even worse. And that was the point where I was like, I'm not watching this show at all. That's what happened.
Again, that's the decision we all have to make individually, isn't it, Matt?
Exactly. But like you said, like we've said, I'm not surprised that you own that, Matt. I'm not surprised that you've seen it, because that is what being a true fan is, where you will give it a shot because you love the show so much. But when you take the opportunity to shit on either Jodie's era or any era that's come before that or after that, no matter what side of the fence you sit on, I think you have your opinions, you totally do it. But when you go out of your way, it becomes harmful. And I don't know why I went on so long. That's the only point I was trying to make.
I personally don't like using words like toxic, because I think, like a lot of words, they're bandied around so freely, so easily, that they lose their power after a while. So I don't like using that word. But I certainly think it becomes counterproductive. I think it's very unsociable. I think also people lose sight of the fact that production teams come and go. This is a fandom. We are, and most people who are into this show, other things come along, and it may sort of dial up or dial down our affection for Doctor Who if the MCU is particularly good, or Star Trek, or whatever else we're into. But we are all, as a fan base, and I speak from experience here, I've connected with people 2 or 3 times over. We tend to stay in each other's lives, sometimes for decades, moving in the same circles. We are in each other's lives collectively for far, far longer than the people who make the show are. We've got to live with one another. We've got to get along and find a way, find a harmony to move forward as people, and for this to remain a healthy part of our lives. And if we can't, then perhaps it's up to us, because we are captains of our own ship, of our own destiny. It's up to us to recognize when things have got too much. We need to step aside from it. I mean, I know that, Ian, you've spoken about that to me a few times. If this is kind of your last chance, if the shooty stuff isn't very good, you'll walk away and you'll keep the Doctor Who that you've enjoyed, and it's all fine, farewell. I think that's a healthy attitude to have.
Yeah, it's just when they start calling you, it's this and that, and saying that you're sexist because you don't like Jodie and all that. That's the fans that do that. I don't want to know. I can't have a conversation with people like that at all. You know what I mean? They can't get my opinion.
All of what we spoke about is why I'm so excited that we are finally going to get something new to talk about. That we are finally going to get a new production team, a new Doctor, a new show to look at because Russell's writing it again. And I think it's so important that people, once Sunday's gone, we put Jodie and this era behind us. and we look to the what's happening in the future. We cannot let this era linger any longer.
Right.
If you didn't like it, you didn't like it.
That rhymes.
Fair dues. But you just have to go, right, the show moves on. She's regenerating on Sunday. We're going to get a new incarnation in some fashion.
And Charlotte, it's fine. It's fine that we be informed. You know, I can look, for example, I don't think I'll ever watch anything else that Jodie Whittaker ever makes. I used to think she was fantastic until she says she was in Doctor Who. I probably won't watch anything else she's ever in. But that's just because she sort of grinds my gears a little bit. And, you know, I think, okay, she go off and have a career. There's no malice behind any of that. It's something I'll live with as time goes on. It's something that I've got to deal with, that I've got to keep in check, process as this show continues. And she may always have a little niche within the broader Whoniverse and a devoted set of fans who do hold this last 29 episodes dear to them for whatever reason. And you know, it's fun. We should absolutely let them have that.
Absolutely.
Sincerely, and just move on, because in context it will take its natural place of value within that broader context of nearly 60 years worth of great TV. Talking of which, it's time to get a nostalgia hit, everybody, with a bit of a difference. Now, unfortunately, Simon Horton, he can't be with us for this edition of the show. He's still having renovations done, and he says the Simon Fan Club is up in arms. Simon, please come back soon. Yeah, his house is being knocked about. Yeah, we miss Simon a lot, but he has been kind enough to tear a few pages from the virtual. Charles going to need a minute to tear a few pages from that virtual tome that's full of Doctor Who delights on every single page.
Cup tea, everybody, cup tea.
We call the Doctor Who Diary. So we're going to get stuck into a special segment of the Doctor Who Diary devoted to one particular element of Doctor Who's legacy, without which Doctor Who wouldn't exist at all. Yeah, amidst everything that's going on with Doctor Who and the Power of the Doctor special that's on this Sunday as of recording, look, this is all part of a broader season of programming that's all been trotted out across television and radio to mark the BBC's own centenary. The British Broadcasting Company came into existence on the 18th of October 1922. Originally, it was a privately owned company, owned by leading electronics companies back in the day, believe it or not. And it had a remit, a very simple remit, to provide radio broadcasts that could be heard on wireless sets that were manufactured, obviously, by the people who owned the BBC. So it started out as a very simple way of bringing out new technology into the average family home, I suppose you could say, to distribute news, to inform, and to entertain. Now, originally, its first office was in Magnet House near Covent Garden in London, and for a little while, it had to be put to one side, obviously, because there was the Second World War was a big hindrance to the uptake of television in Great Britain, of course, from 1939 to 1945. The BBC had been experimenting with television broadcasts since all the way back in 1929. The 30-line, just 30 lines, Ian, 30-line system that was developed by John Logie Baird that used radio frequencies. They did that after all the normal radio programming had closed down for the night. They experimented there with a television signal beaming out of Alexandra Palace. That started in 1936. And it was the world's very first high-definition television signal. So we've all grown up with the BBC, certainly in Great Britain. I used to think of them as auntie, Ian. You know, you've worked for the BBC too. They used to be this sort of cosy auntie-like figure, like a member of the family, didn't they?
Yeah. The BBC has always been part of my life growing up, and same thing with you, Dan, I guess, and Charlotte. So, you know, it's always been there in the background. You know, I remember hearing when I was a kid, the first time, you know, this is the BBC. Remember that kind of accent? And even when Trevor McDonald was on, he still had that accent as well, isn't it? Good evening, welcome. You knew at one, whether it is, whatever. So he had that accent as well, didn't he? Yeah, good old Trevor McDonald, as we used to call him. But yeah, so
BBC they pioneered scientific evolution and technology, didn't they? And this continued for decades and decades, into the age of the home computer too. But they also broke lots of creative ground as well, didn't they? Originally.
Yeah, they did. One of them is the black and white minstrel show. No, we won't mention that, shall we? The black and white minstrel show.
I remember that.
But the BBC, as I said, it's aimed for the family mostly. Would you agree with that, Dan?
I think that was initially the idea. Because people used to listen to the radio collectively as a family, didn't they? There was strands of programming for just geared around women. Yeah, and children that were listening, so they had that way of looking at the audience and a stranded programming, and they just imported a lot of that to television. Yeah, and it was the same with scripted product, because obviously they knew what had worked on radio. They applied some of that to scripted drama on television, but also looked to theatre too, straight drama and to variety, I suppose you could say. Yeah. To establish what could work, what could play to an audience, and what would translate from the theatre to a television. So that's why we had the 3-walled sets for sitcoms and dramas. Virtually everything back in the day was shot like theatre, wasn't it?
It was tiny though. The TVs were tiny, and I can remember sitting around a TV with my family. This is a long time ago, watching Generation Game or watching Morecambe and Wise or even the Two Ronnies. But I don't think that happens anymore. Families don't sit around a TV to watch stuff like that anymore. It's a completely different world we live in now. And they always used to have the globe, as you can see, different globes for different times, I guess. And is that the new one at the bottom there? Or do they have? They have new. Yeah. Sorry,
we're looking at on screen. We've got various idents here that go from around 1970. Right the way through to the mid-90s there. So this is what a lot of us would have grown up with on the television. But yet television itself resumed in 1946, and the BBC had complete monopoly of television for a good 10 years until ITV started in 1955. Almost everything was broadcast live, including the drama, because there was such a limited capacity to record anything. In advance. And when Doctor Who came along in 1963, there were still only those two TV channels. So it was a choice. Can you believe it, Shah? It was a direct choice between ITV or the BBC. There was no BBC. It was just BBC TV. Yeah. It must seem like an ice age ago.
BBC Two as well, remember?
I'll be honest.
BBC Two. Sorry, was that Matt?
I only ever had 2 channels during the until like the 90s. And then when we finally got an extra channel, it was like, wow.
There were 5 when I was growing up.
What were they? Channel 5, 4, ITV, BBC 2 and BBC 1?
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, same with me growing up.
All right. Because when I was growing up, it was BBC 1, BBC 2 and ITV, and that was it.
3.
There were 3 in your one.
Well, what did you have over there?
We had, the 3 main networks, which were ABC, CBS, and NBC, and a couple of like the local channels.
Local channels.
For syndicated stuff.
Yeah, it's crazy. But as I said, BBC, I remember somebody said that it was the British Hollywood. I remember the British TV Hollywood. So anyone that worked at the BBC, they felt really proud that they're working for the BBC. Anyone from presenters straight across to the people behind the scenes. I remember the BBC broke the mold. They were one of the first people to put someone with an accent as a presenter. They're one of the first people to put a black person as a presenter as well. They did break some of the rules for the betterment of society, BBC. So they did some really good stuff.
We created our own channel for that.
Yeah, right, okay.
Yeah, no, it was an indigenous.
We've got a comment here from Crimpling de Blue that says, I missed the test card.
Oh, yeah.
People, these little things that made up the BBC's identity as an extended member of our family. People do do cherish these memories. They do miss these sights and these sounds as the world and media now in 2022. It just looks a bit sinister, isn't it, when you look back?
Do you remember?
But now we live in an age that's so fast and so slick and so corporate.
Yeah.
And back then, obviously, televisions were a lot smaller. It was all a lot cozier. Our interaction with them and their place in our home, it had its dedicated corner. Whereas now, of course, televisions tend to take up an entire wall, don't they?
Yeah, but remember, they used to say to you, if you look at that test card for long, you'll see her poke the clown in the eye. I remember everybody used to say that. People used to say, if you keep looking at it, she'll eventually poke the clown in the eye. They used to say that to me, but I don't know. Really weird.
Sorry, we've got a terrible interference there, and I'm trying to work out where it's coming from. If anybody knows where that's coming from, can they?
It's my phone. I think
it's not me. It's not me. I'll mute my.
With the soundtrack, and I can't think when it's going.
I muted myself in case.
Doctor Who, of course, has been a part of the BBC's output for over half of its actual life.
Yeah.
When you put it that way, it's not an inconsiderable contribution to the history of the BBC. So whilst, yes, there would be no Doctor Who at all without the BBC, maybe there would be no BBC. It might have all gone down the pan without shows like Doctor Who in its back catalogue.
Except for that last thing, but it's beautiful.
Come on, let's not keep banging that drum. Come on. So yeah, we've got this entire legacy behind us. They're 59 years that they're building on, and these memories that fill up these screens. They make childhoods. They made Saturday tea times, and they continue to make memories for people. Whether we're watching them through the iPlayer now, it's still all through the BBC. And I'm not going to be a hypocrite about this. I haven't got a TV license anymore. I'm no fan of the BBC as it currently is. I think for the last 10 or 15 years, it's been a bit of a shadow of its former self. But you got to give credit where it's due. And Doctor Who's been, it's been such a massive part of my life. To not acknowledge the BBC at its centenary, I think, would be rather churlish of me and of us as a Doctor Who orientated show.
And Dan, isn't it something that you can, for me, I was looking at each one of those logos that were up, and each one of those logos kind of brought back different memories. I would see different logos. I would see the Pertwee logo. That would bring up a whole swarm of imagery to me.
Yeah.
Or, the Tom Baker logo, even the Neon logo. Every one of those logos brought up like a whole different flood of memories just looking at each one of them.
Yeah. It's so colorful, isn't it?
And you think it kind of represents... And I think it's similar for you guys. Yourself, Gary, and you, Matt, in Tasmania. It represents exactly the same, I think, for you guys as it does for us in Britain. A whole generation of people have grown up with that particular era represented by that title card in a way. So, Gary, you often say to me you're an Anglophile. You watch and listen to a lot of British entertainment, British television. So where do you think that comes from?
The first time that I really got exposed to BBC programs was obviously through Doctor Who, like PBS was showing the Pertwee and the Baker ones. Then like Monty Python. For school, I had to watch Claudius. And then in the 80s, it moved on to like Blake Seven and Sherlock Holmes and Poirot. And I mean, it's the shows that really reflected the things I was interested in anyway, science fiction or mystery or whatever. But the BBC, I thought, always did it so much better because the acting was better, the quality of the production. It seems like for me, like a lot of the programs in the US, which I still love and do love, a lot of it was just like, derivative or going for effects over substance or whatever. And then it just seems like I gravitated toward what the BBC was putting out. Like in the 90s was like Lovejoy that I was a big fan of, or even now, I'm right there with JT. I love the new All Creatures version, or things like Death in Paradise or Shetland or whatever. I'm still constantly going on to like the BBC site and looking up like what new shows are coming on. I even listen to BBC Radio online.
This is
I just, BBC Radio 2. I mean, come on.
Well, you may be amused to learn. Of course, I think there's nothing that Doctor Who fans love more, apart from looking at ratings, Charlotte, than making lists, is there?
Oh yeah, we like lists. We like ratings.
And earlier this year, there was a poll, believe it or not, from the Radio Times. It was for the centenary of the BBC. So they got this in early. They wanted to find out what was the most popular programmes in the history of the BBC. And Doctor Who came out of it pretty well. So here we are. This is the top 20 shows of all kinds. The top 20 shows of all kinds from the entire history of the BBC there. And proudly, Doctor Who sits there as the highest rated, the most popular drama still out of all of their entire output. So even beating shows, current flavour of the month, I suppose you could say, Line of Duty, which I know that you love, Charlotte.
Oh,
that's
I do,
in there.
yeah. So that's a surprise.
Amazing.
I Call the Midwife's in there, Shah, so's Killing Eve. And I noticed that drama-wise, at number 16, Ian, there's Sherlock. I think 5 to 10 years ago, Sherlock would have been right up there, probably challenging Doctor Who if they'd have done that. Which is a really interesting list. It's a good mix of shows there, and most of them are indeed very much loved by the British public. I think when they conduct these polls, it's understandable that they would skew more to current programming, but that's not happened here. We've got perennials like Blue Peter there, Shah. That's still going. 1958 that started, and things that were shorter lived there, like Dinner Ladies. Just a couple of seasons of that Victoria Wood sitcom. It seems to have got more and more popular over the years, and Dad's Army's in there, so is the Vicar of Dibley. Morecambe and Wise. You mentioned Morecambe and Wise, didn't you, Ian?
Yeah.
You cannot be mad that Only Fools and Horses is number one, though, can you, honestly?
Yeah, you can't argue with that.
It was never huge here. It didn't actually get shown until the 90s here.
Oh, I love it.
It's even now, Shah, it is probably still the go-to British comedy series, isn't it?
Yeah, either that or Fawlty Towers for me, or Dad's Army. I love Dad's Army so much. I can't disagree. There's a couple that I'm thinking, oh really? But no, most of those I can completely understand why they are placed where they are.
It's very British, isn't it?
Did they do this list recently, Dan? Is this list recent?
Yes, this was earlier this year. So obviously, we know we're Doctor Who fans. We're just as guilty of this as everybody else. When they launch these polls, particularly at places like Radio Times or on social media, the Doctor Who fans do have a habit of mobilising and voting en masse to make sure that we get represented, that our show gets represented. And that would have probably have happened more or less at certain times in its lifetime. But the fact that it could still garner enough support at this precise moment in time with the series, the current series, it's arguably this is the least popular at this moment in time that Doctor Who has ever been, getting the smallest ratings. It was more popular when they weren't making it than it is now. But the fact that Doctor Who could still poll and get number 2 in a list like this, second only to a show as huge as Only Fools and Horses, that's a big testimony to the success of Doctor Who, not just the television show, Ian, but that big cultural impact that the shows had.
Also, we mustn't forget that the BBC also helped schools. They used to have this thing in the evenings doing shows especially for schools so that they could show it to the kids. So what would happen is they'd show a show at 11 o'clock in the morning, and the schools would tape it. They used to have big reels, and they would tape it, and then they would play it to the classroom, like shows especially for maths or spelling or geography and stuff like that. They would have special shows for school. Was it called schools and colleges? Dan, I can't remember.
Yeah, that's right. It was called. Yeah, schools and colleges, or colleges and schools. The other way around.
Yeah, was it? What was it?
But you're right.
But that's what I'm saying. So the BBC was a force to be reckoned with, and they had that remit where they had to basically talk to the different regions of England, basically, and it wasn't just one for all. They had to cater for everything, especially schools. They had an educational section. They also had a section where when you were at school, you came back from school. They had little shows for kids once they're back from school, back in the home, eating their tea. They'll have shows on, like, I don't know, Willow the Wisp and stuff like that, wouldn't they? Before the news. So they were a force to be reckoned with, but now it's different now with the
it's BBC. Not that different. I understand what you're saying because it's more modernized things, but in a previous life I used to work with small humans, and even like things like horrible histories, I was actually more excited to put it on than the kids were.
Yeah,
So I'd wheel that in and we'll just have that as a history lesson because it was so good and fun and interactive and things like that.
Yeah.
And I remember that as a kid, my teacher showing me things like that too. So it was it's still a thing, but not nowhere near as much, I think.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
it would be lovely if we could have that back. That'd be so good. I've got so many memories of things like that.
Oh,
And that's
yeah,
that's
Robert
a weird
Payne.
thing.
Robert Payne says here, Shah, it's a list of the most recently repeated shows. There could be some truth in that.
Yeah, it could be.
Open University used to be on BBC Two, and people are noticing that their favourite shows aren't there, Charlotte. Where's Are You Being Served? Asks TARDIS Spider.
That is a good question.
No Dennis Potter, says Matthew Pounder. It's weird that there's no Dennis Potter. I think if they'd have conducted that survey, 15, 20 years ago, you'd have had Pennies from Heaven there. The Singing Detective would be there. Something like that would be
Plus,
there.
it also, we don't know what age group would have voted. And
Yeah,
I think that
exactly.
Really
because I don't know what Dennis Potter is. Never heard of it.
Same here. So I think it really does depend what
So,
age of people voted. But I can remember when I was younger, I used to love Saturday nights on the BBC.
Yeah.
Because a load of my favourite genre stuff, not just Doctor Who, I loved Merlin, I watched Robin Hood. There was loads of genre stuff on a Saturday night I would sit down and watch, and I used to always look forward to that. And
ITV and BBC One were fighting against each other, weren't they? Charlotte. Yeah.
Yeah, you had
you would flip between as well.
And then that's what I liked about the BBC. That on on ITV it was mainly X Factor, reality TV, but on the BBC you would get drama, genre stuff that was different on a Saturday night, which I don't think a lot of places would have done.
Yeah, when I was in my late 20s, I used to obviously go out on a Saturday night, and my friends always used to say, "Yeah, I'll meet you after blind date." Do you know what I mean? So after blind date's finished, I'll meet you.
Is that like Perfect Match? We had Perfect Match.
I think it's the same show. Yeah, it was the same with that. And of course, at the time, the big thing on the BBC was Noel's House Party.
That's right.
They've had several shows like that have sort of defined decades. And I think I agree with you, Charlotte. I think something's changed now. And I think that they do chase ratings a little more now. I think they've gone more down. This is one of the reasons. I think there's a strong argument to say, and I won't get into it too much on this show. There's a strong argument to say that BBC should carry advertising because they've gone so aggressively commercial. But again, that's one for another time. But this is how the BBC looks in 2022. It's a lot more corporate, a lot less cozy, and it's not really. I'll be honest, it's not really for me. And it's one of the reasons why I'm happy to see Doctor Who itself go out to an independent because, I don't think the BBC are looking after it. But I'm very grateful to the BBC for bringing Doctor Who into existence because it's made such a huge impact, obviously, on my life, as I know it has everybody else that's here on the panel too.
Am I parsing it out, Dan, to think that it's odd that when I saw the graphic you just put up, my first thought was it's weird that they don't say this is your BBC.
Not anymore.
No,
not anymore. Yeah.
They use that when it suits them. They're using that tagline a little to promote the centenary.
Here too, they use it. That they say your ABC. So that's a bit strange. I've not noticed that.
Times are changing.
Very odd. But the BBC's place in our culture, and the people that we see playing on that screen. I think whether it's an old 4:3 cathode ray TV. Or plasma screen or a big LED that takes up your entire wall now. I suppose the connection, it will always be a personal one as long as something is in our homes. I mean, Ian, just as you said, I think back to the people who were on television. It was almost like a repertory company, not just of actors, but of personalities and newsreaders. It was like a rep, a company of people that joined together to entertain us as a family. It felt like they were a family entertaining our family, and that's certainly my BBC. I appreciate that some that things have got to move on, and people are going to feel differently. And it's one of the main reasons why I'm such a big supporter of the idea of defunding the BBC is because I do want to save the BBC. I do think it is of value. I do think that most of these 100 years have been very progressive as regards technology and education and entertainment for the most part. The true sense of the word progressive. I must underline that. But I think that defunding it is the only way to move forward. Shah, sorry, yeah.
Go on, Shah.
Just because I don't know, has it always been funded by regular
Joes? Yes, always.
Yeah,
always.
Yeah.
But to be fair, Dan, right? They had the BBC had no choice but to go this way because the competition was too strong, wasn't it? Yeah. You had Sky that started up Sky B, then you had Sky, and then you had all the other channels that started, and now we've got streaming. Right. So
Cable,
the BBC's been pushed into a corner, but the thing that BBC should have retained instead of what they're doing now is they should have retained the person I don't know what's that word, the being personal. Because when BBC first started, it was personal. It was like regions. It was like having familiar faces on TV. You were familiar with it. It was like you see Bruce Forsyth, you see so-and-so. But now, because they're competing with so many streaming channels and so many other channels, they've all forgotten about their audience and doing what they want to do and trying to compete. But also, it's destroying the identity of the BBC. That's what I think. But I don't know what you guys think.
It becomes faceless and somewhat corporate. But I choose to, when I think of the BBC, I do. I still think of Auntie, all those shows that were on that list and plenty more besides. Most of my favourite shows have been made by the BBC. So I do. I can't be mean about this and wish the BBC happy centenary. I do hope that there's good stuff to come. Whether it's working together with independents, just like Bad Wolf, they've been working with independents now for over 30 years, and some of their best shows have been like that. I'd like to think they'll find a happy balance and that we can start getting some good stuff on the BBC again. But I think until they embrace the possibilities for their future in practical senses as well as creative senses, we're going to be some way off that. But let's know what you think.
I just realised that said 100, man. I just realised that logo said 100. I just thought it's weird. It's horrible.
Really awful. It's
Oh yeah, that's right.
I just thought it was just like a logo of some sort.
We get so used to seeing these. We get so used to seeing these corporate blocky style logos, don't we, Matt? It's it's not good logo design. It's it's very disappointing.
No, it's a mess.
But something
well, Dan, I wanted to ask: Have you guys been watching the other centenary shows this week? Have they been celebrating other?
No, I don't really watch it on television.
Okay, just wondering.
No,
I've seen mainly like some documentaries be like advertised. I know Strictly is doing like a big centenary thing at the weekend. That's as much as I know for what they're doing special programming wise.
Did they bring back Basil Brush?
No, no, they haven't.
It seems not. Quite bizarrely, it seems not, Matt. But you could write to them. You could ask them.
I want words and pictures back as well.
Oh, words and pictures. I used to love that when I was a kid.
Yeah, that was one of the things they used to show at school, and I just loved it.
Let us know what you think of all of this in the comment section. Of course, your favourite BBC shows, past and present, and what do you think about the state of the BBC? We're going to be talking about that on a future edition of the podcast. Got lots of ideas, conversation for another time, but for now, yes, it's happy centenary BBC, and thank you for Doctor Who, thank you for everything. Okay, Ian, my friend.
Yes, time for going for a pee.
How's your bladder holding, my friend? How's it going?
Not good.
Well,
not good.
I'm happy, my friend, to bring you relief in the form of the Type 40 ad break. It's coming up yet more sights and sounds from times past with Doctor Who luminaries, courtesy of us here at Type 40. This one ties into the conversation we've just been having. So, get your peepers around this. Go and fill up your glass or go and point Percy at the porcelain. The meet's back here in a couple of minutes for more Doctor Who talk.
Yes, of course, madam. This is a news flash. Can anybody identify the following faces?
If his kit bag's full of wrinkles, he's an A-hole man. If he reeks of rum and winkles, he's an A-hole man. If he hums a little ditty and he tells you that you're pretty, you can bet your Bristol City he's an A-hole man.
the wonderful thing about baking a cake. It's like waiting for a birth. You put something in, you wait, you worry, and something wonderful comes out.
I said, do you mind if we go over and see Mother on Sunday?
Well, come on, son. I take it you can remember your own name.
Jenkins, sir.
Can't hear you, son. Get some air into your lungs.
Jenkins, sir.
Baking leftovers is hardly a sign of affluence.
You mean that shepherd's pie?
The rustic pot roast.
It's just for the chickens.
And they didn't like it.
Sorry, Grayson. You call me school bully. You miserable little tick.
It's a bit of a snag, because it's very difficult to talk properly with these in your mouth.
Very good. The BBC would like to congratulate you on your good taste. Obviously, you know what you like. Video tasties from the BBC and from any video shop, even the one around the corner. Well, don't just sit there. Enjoy yourselves. There's plenty more where these came from.
Yes, we're back with more Type 40 Live. Back from the past there, courtesy of Tom Baker, the fourth Doctor himself, getting to grips with some old favourites and some old friends. Did that stir some memories for you like it did for me? I think it probably did. All those old VHS tapes from back in the day, edited editions of our favourite shows, including Doctor Who, trotted out onto VHS in edited forms and whatnot, all part of extending that relationship between us and the BBC, and of course opening up the archives and allowing us to see Doctor Who classics for the very first time. Gary, did you collect the VHS range back in the day? Did you jump on all that?
Oh, I did. I used to have all the VHSs, and I wish I still did because those covers were gorgeous, and then moved to DVD and now to Blu-ray. And so I didn't, because I used to watch the show, because I got used to watching with the cliffhangers, I wasn't a big fan of the edited episodes because I missed the cliffhangers too much.
Yeah, I think I did too. I mean, I kept hold of some of those edited tapes for quite a long time, but they quickly bit the dust as soon as the good stuff, as soon as the unedited stuff started to come out. Yeah. Let's go and see what people have got to say about all of this in the live chat. Lots of people watching. Thank you to everybody who's dropping comments so far about all of this as we look forward. Look forward, sort of? Yeah, look forward. Look ahead to The Power of the Doctor. That airs in a couple of days' time, and we're going to be talking about it here, of course, on the channel. Hope you're deciding how you're going to watch it and where you're going to watch it, if you're going to watch it at all. I don't know how much of it you're going to see. Doc Martin in the chat says the VHS range at the start was exorbitantly priced. It was indeed. They were seen as luxury items, and very few people had VHS players back then, didn't they, Ian? Very, very few.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah. I had a Betamax, so... Betamax. They said picture was better on Betamax, so there you go.
Oh,
so, yeah.
Yeah, Ripping Yarns, The Goodies, all those shows were part of the video tasties back then when they launched.
Yum, yum.
They launched everything onto VHS around the same time to see what would stick, I suppose. But Doctor Who obviously was a big seller right away, and that line eventually completed, sort of. Took about 15 years, but they got there. They got there in the end. And talking of the end is in sight, and that's what everybody's talking about. Here they all were. This is the cast and the crew of Doctor Who as they wrapped filming on The Power of the Doctor over a year ago. There they all are. Well, they're all smiling. Shame the audience aren't, but yeah, that's it. There's they're all there. You can just make out Matt Stevens, and there's Mandip and Jodie at the front.
Does anybody want to say any few words commemorating the TARDIS interior and how much you're going to miss it?
I've just seen the middle of the TARDIS from what's hanging from the ceiling. I'm like, wow, They got
Absolutely not.
Got those wheels that look like little Matchbox car wheels, haven't they? Stuck on the. It just looks really weird. Whoever designed that must have been blind or something. It really
You know when you
terrible.
see a dead spider,
didn't know
it's
Doctor
all brown,
Who, that
crinkly.
was for
It
sure.
does look like a
Ooh,
spider
like
shark. It does.
Sorry, Shah. What was that?
That's why I just pulled the funny face into you guys, I suppose, if you couldn't hear me. No, I was just saying, you know, when you see a dead spider, it's all brown and just like all its legs are in, and you just it's got that horrible thing. It looks just like that, and I can't not see that now.
It's an awful design. The worst design in the history of Inside the TARDIS. It really is awful. But
Just because it's not a TARDIS, that's not what a TARDIS looks like.
that's true. That is true too.
Your description has definitely struck a note here with people in the chat. Stories over
Wow.
this. Starry-eyed girl Sarah Graham adds, "It's a dead spider with an erection." And
Well, good for him.
Yeah, glad he's getting.
I've just
Says it
noticed
all.
that. Well done, Starry. Yeah,
That
and I've
says
just
it all.
noticed it. I don't normally look at that sort of stuff, so.
Cybermat strikes us. I don't think we've seen most of that TARDIS on screen.
Thank
We've
God.
seen it very, very fleetingly. I think it must have. I think it was quite a difficult set for them to work with. From what I've heard, they found it difficult to get cameras around it and all sorts of things. I imagine it looked good on paper. Matthew Pounder says that set was an assault on the eyes. I can confirm. Yeah, just over and over again. It no longer exists. It's landfill. And bits of it have been handed over to unlucky fans. I don't know, auctioned off. Little
So wait,
cogs
if
and
the
things from
if the
walls.
doctor is not if she's not going to regenerate inside the TARDIS, does that mean we're going to be denied the pleasure of watching that interior blow up?
Probably. That's why I
No.
think she was probably done it on purpose myself.
No, but then hold on. But the only reason why they blew up is because of certain things that actually happened to the doctors when they blew up, right? Because when Bacaldi changed, nothing happened. He just changed from Matt to him. So
Yeah, but then it sucked her out.
well, sorry, what?
Then
Sound rude?
Then apparently the TARDIS, haven't seen the episode, but apparently the TARDIS sucked her out.
But
Oh, really?
It barfed her out.
Oh!
It literally threw her out. The doors
Oh, right.
opened and she
Okay,
went
it threw
flying
her
out.
out. So
Oh,
it did have an interaction.
Which could add legitimacy to the whole alternate universe theory that's going around.
Could be. I mean, seriously. Oh.
Now, obviously, we're about to see the departure of Jodie Whittaker, who apparently has been playing the Doctor. You'd never have known it, really. But yeah, she's leaving the show in this episode. It's the final time, her final outing as the Doctor there. So understandably, a lot of attention has been directed in her direction. And the speculation, Ian, that as part of this episode, and because it's the BBC centenary, it's not Doctor Who's centenary, but they are kind of treating it like an anniversary. Apparently, the Doctor is going to don a mashup of iconic costumes worn by many of her Time Lord predecessors. So we are allegedly going to see Jodie Whittaker wearing different items of clothing that we would associate with past incarnations of the Doctor as a bit of a nod to the show's past. Now, should we complain about things like that? Because like you say, Shah, it's just fan service, isn't it? Sometimes these things work, sometimes they're cringy. Charlotte, do you think this is a possibility? Do you think this could work?
I can see it as, like you said, they are treating this like an anniversary. We've got Ace, we've got Tegan, we've got a regeneration. It would make sense. I don't want to see her. I'm going to be like very petty. I'm going to admit it. I don't want to see her in other Doctor's outfits because I don't think also. Well, no, here's the weird thing. Actually, she suited Peter, but I can't see her visually suiting any other Doctor's outfit as well. If I'm trying to think practically here,
No, I suppose you're right.
I can't see her in Tennant's stripy suit.
No,
I can't see her in Matt's bow tie and like little geography teacher jacket. I can't actually. She might look funny in the coloured like Collins outfit. That might actually be a bit funny.
That's a mistake too.
Yeah. I just don't think she would look good in them, if I'm being perfectly honest as well.
She looked good when they introduced her the first time, when she takes the hoodie off and what she was wearing was perfect, and then they put her in this rubbish.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Crazy.
The classic 80s fanboy.
That was her choice, though, wasn't it? That was apparently a choice by her.
It was 100% her choice and sort of her design too. The classic 80s fanboy here says that she'll be wearing Tom's scarf. That's pretty much a given, isn't it, Shah? I'd be amazed if that doesn't happen.
Fine. That's absolutely fine. Do little bits like that. Yeah, don't wear full costumes.
Cosplay.
Because if I'm being perfectly honest, it could be even my favourite. It could be Matt Smith doing it, and I still wouldn't want to see it. So it doesn't matter whether it's Jodie, Matt, David, anyone. I don't want to see it at all. I think keep that for that Doctor. Don't do it for any other Doctor unless it is a regeneration where they're wearing the what's the word, predecessor's clothes. That's totally cool, but don't do that with any of them. I think that's a shit idea. Sorry, I think that's really, really bad. I don't want to see any of the Doctor in any of the Doctor's clothes.
Right, because all that's going to do is remind you of those other Doctors, and you'll start going, yeah, I really like that other Doctor.
But I just don't feel like that's the way to do it.
No.
Do you know what I mean? I just, like I said, where, like, I don't know, maybe McCoy and Sylvester's, I don't know, umbrella on Tom's scarf, and maybe the stick of celery for good old Davison there. But I just don't think full-on costumes. Like, nah, I just won't do anything for me.
They're probably not talking about the costumes. Probably talking about certain costumes that was in the eras. Like, for instance, I know they're wearing the orange spacesuits that was in Waters of Mars, right? So they're probably talking about those kind of costumes rather than the Doctor's costumes.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, why not?
We do have a quote here from the Mirror. This article comes from the Mirror. It's an unnamed source. Now, the Mirror used to have a fantastic track record for this sort of thing. Just lately, it's gone a little bit off the boil, but we do have this quote from an insider who says, getting Jodie and some of the others to wear some of the best love items from the Doctor's wardrobes over the decades, that seemed a fitting and perfect way to mark the BBC's 100-year anniversary. I can think of... I think that's a bit of a stretch. It's the kind of thing that publishing departments always put out, isn't it? Seems a bit strange to me. Of course, when they say some of the others, they mean the Doctor's companions. And I think it would be a shame to talk about this special and not acknowledge the fact that it's not just Jodie Whittaker that's departing this time, but we are about to lose to Mandip Gill as Yasmin Khan.
Yes!
The longest running Doctor Who companion of all time, believe it or not. She's been in more. She's been there longer than anybody else and done far, far less than everybody else. But fair play, Mandip. It's I think it's been her cross to bear. She's been there. Yeah, she's been there the entire time and not been given much to do. I try to be kind to this actress because I've always liked the fact that she always seems so made up to be in it. For example, Tosin Cole, bless him, I always get the impression he didn't give a toss. He didn't
want to be there.
He was just happy to be working, and that's fine too. But I always felt that Mandip was really happy to be joining one of the biggest shows on TV.
Well, she came from Brookside?
Hollyoaks.
Hollyoaks, that was it, yeah.
And I think that had been some time ago. Of course, she's the latest in a long line of companions over the decades there. So she'll join the pantheon of the good and the bad and the Maid of Tin that make the Doctor's best friends, stretching right back to 1963 there. And we do love a poll here at Type 40, and I do wonder, is it just me? Because I've never really connected with that character, and I think that she's tried, and for a little while I tried, but there's so little there when I compare her to other just new series companions who, by and large, I've really loved, if not consistently. I've always connected. I know, but when this isn't it, Shah? When you see these faces, you think, "Oh, look at Rory. Oh, I liked Rory. I miss Rory." Or you think, "I wonder what Martha's doing now. I wonder if she's still happily married. I wonder if not, would she have my number?" That kind of thing. You feel like you know these people. All of them, even Nardole, who I initially thought he was a complete waste of space.
Yeah, so did I.
But all of them, I feel like I know them all, and Mandip's about to join them, and I just feel nothing. And it turns out, so do the people who voted in the Radio Times poll to find out who the most popular new series companions. Shit. So we've got the top 10. We've got the top 10 here. This is just of the new series companions, and polling at number 1 was, unsurprisingly, Donna Noble there with 23% of the vote. Captain Jack Harkness, I think he counts as a companion with 21%. Rose, there's a big drop between Captain Jack and Rose there. I think Rose has dropped a little in popularity down to 11%. But Yaz is right there at the bottom alongside Sarah Jane Smith, who, she was a guest star, arguably, in a couple of episodes of New Doctor Who. and they're with Martha too. But this is so Yaz is below even then when they broke it right the way down. This is not.
Believe that.
This is not a popular character, Shah, even with the devotees of the show. It seems.
It's not even the fact that Yasmin Khan's that like bottom. I'm actually so shocked at who is down there.
I was looking at some of the others as well, like Martha.
Captain Jack Harkness is above River Song. River Song's a right bad bitch. What are you on about? I mean, Wilfred's all the way down there. I'm fuming about this. Martha's down there.
Yeah, but this chart was only done recently, and it's only the thoughts of recent, the recent thoughts of people.
Yeah.
It's not really a good list at all.
They've forgotten all the good shows.
Yeah, they have.
Now.
Wilf should be in the top 3 for sure.
And what you call it? Amy Pond. I loved Amy.
Absolutely, Amy was great.
Wilf was at number 5 with Amy at number 6 there.
Yeah.
I can't get over the fact that Clara's above that. Clara's above them, even to a certain extent. Even Rose. No.
You didn't like Clara? No.
I love Clara.
I know you did.
I know. I've got a 6. I've got a
Jenna Coleman.
What do you think?
Yeah, I think she will call you.
Charlotte, we're about to lose Mandip Gill as
Yaz.
What do you think? What do you think will be the lasting memory of this character, if any?
The lasting memory would be her finally trying to get the Doctor to admit to wanting to be a girlfriend. That'll be her last.
It's just all about that.
Yeah.
It's not much. It's not much, is it?
Yeah, because she's not been, obviously, at the beginning of the series, she was supposed to be a policewoman. They did nothing with that whatsoever.
Yeah.
Series 12, it was like she really faded a bit, but they tried to almost say, oh, look, she's a bit more, like she can do bits of the TARDIS now and she's a bit more like almost a mini Doctor, but didn't go enough with that either. And then in Series 13, they've all of a sudden done this whole romance angle. So... it's just been like constant shifting of what Yaz actually is and what her story beat is. But another point is the lads aren't even polling in that poll, so Graham's not there. And
Graham was great.
So it just shows that like out of her 3 companions, 2 aren't even polling, and the other one's at the bottom. What does that tell you about the companions in general?
I think because they didn't have a clue about what to do with them. Yaz could have had a fantastic story if they really, really wanted to. They would have done it, and they've just not. And I think it's because they didn't. I mean, like you said, they don't know what to do, and I think that's a really bad angle. And I think there was way too many companions. We had to deal with 5 new characters in one single opening episode. It was never going to work, which is really unfortunate because it could have been so good.
Yeah, it could have been great. Yeah, you're right.
Yaz to me is the perfect example of Chibnall's tendency to tell, not show, whether it be companion backgrounds or story. Like, what was it, 5-6 episodes in, you have Graham telling Yaz that she's the best human he's ever met. It's like, seriously, based on what?
It was very strange, isn't it?
You have the same thing with the Doctor telling Yaz that of all the companions she's ever had, Yaz is the best. It's like, you've got to be kidding.
Yeah, he did a bit of a Moffat with that, I think, because Moffat's very, very bad. He's great, but very, very bad at telling us who a good companion is. And that's part of the reason why I didn't like Clara, actually. But one thing I loved that he did is that he tried to make Clara be like a mini Doctor and show all the reasons why that cannot work. But then Chibnall's sort of done 3, 4, 5 things with Yaz and nothing's stuck, and there's been no consequence.
No, you're right.
To it.
The more I think about it, you're right. He's done little bits of all those things, never followed any of them through, and at the very last minute jumped on that whole Phasmin thing, which was entirely created on Twitter by again about 4 or 5 people.
It
which
was
is
almost
why.
like it was. Yeah, sorry, go on.
Well, you put something like that before the British public, and it's just something that they're already tuned out to. And expect them to have seen it all along, and they just go, "What's all this? I never picked up on any of this. Did I miss some episodes? I don't know." And people in the chat, you can see it's largely the same. People who've probably been watching it all, like Carol Jude. Was she the one who was the cop? Yeah. I mean, imagine Mandip Gill.
She was a
Mandip Gill 5 years ago joined the biggest show on TV to play an empowered, ambitious young policewoman. And all these years later, she's ended up playing this emotionally stunted, bit of moving scenery, and I just think it's a crying shame. Darren Bradley says she was in the police. Cyberman Strikes says there's no legacy for Yaz, and therefore I feel nothing. She's done nothing memorable. So it's this, if there are any big Yaz fans out there, please let us know. There's got to be one or two somewhere. Again, it's a great shame. Kip Ellis says the only way is up for Yaz. Oh, sorry, that was Yaz. That was Yaz. That was in the parasitic population. Vanessa Law has a point, of course, here when she says, in fairness, you have to take a lot of these polls with a pinch of salt. Of course you do. But it is fun. It is fun to look at them because we don't know. Obviously, the Radio Times puts these things on, and they're not owned by the BBC anymore, but they're very much in that little clique. And I would imagine that we know that they game things quite a lot there. When they don't get the results that they want, polls vanish all of a sudden, and then they start them again with sort of reworded questions and whatever else. But you mentioned you mentioned the boys.
Makes me laugh, Daniel.
You mentioned the
so funny.
Again, people do feel this way. Daniel Leach,
absolutely right, Dan.
She's a plank. She's a plank of wood. And a great many people do feel that it's been a very wooden performance that Mandip's given consistently over a period of time. I think that at the beginning she was trying. She was excited by the prospect of being on the show and just didn't get the material in.
She didn't get it.
And people say that about Jodie and that it's not her fault. No, I in Jodie's case, I think a lot of it is her fault. But in Mandip's not. In Mandip's not so much. Jodie as the Doctor, she got to be in practically every scene. You've got the ultimate showcase for your talents, haven't you, Ian? But with a supporting character like Yaz, not so much.
As Shah says, it could have worked. This female Doctor could have worked if it had the right script and had the right casting, and they didn't cast Jodie, they cast somebody else. It could have worked spectacularly. Without
all these components, all these cogs turning, and
it was all one big gimmick. Everything was a gimmick.
Even if it was, sometimes you can make gimmicks work.
Yeah.
And for some reason, just none of it did. And it's really sad. I hate it.
It's because of the agenda. They kept pushing the stupid agenda. And if they forgot about the agenda and just saw her as a female, an attractive female, and make her look attractive, put a nice costume on her and stuff like that, or whatever. If they did that, then I reckon it would have been better for everybody. But they didn't. They decided to push the agenda,
makeup on
a lot of people.
Fantastic.
Yeah. And did you notice that her hair hasn't never grown? Throughout all of those seasons, it's never grown.
Never actually
always
ever
ended up
as
hair.
a woman.
Never grown.
You would think the Doctor would actually investigate being a woman. He would actually go.
Yeah. Oh my God!
Not necessarily. We are still talking. We are, in all fairness, we are still talking about a fantasy adventure show. So I don't think that necessarily, but I think playing it as a woman.
I don't mean by investigating by having sex or anything, Daniel.
No. I know exactly what you mean. But I think that playing her as a woman rather than as an asexual being, I can understand making either choice, but because the Doctor, I'm sorry to break this to people out there at the back, but the Doctor is a masculine character, always has been. That doesn't necessarily mean that a woman can't play the character, but they must be aware it's a masculine character. And for all that I don't accept the fugitive Doctor, Jo Martin knows instinctively that it's a masculine character and tuned her performance over those just 10 minutes, tuned her performance into that. She did try. But she was given material of a similarly lower grade, so there was very little that she could do with it either. Yeah. I recently saw a picture, and I'm sure that Jo Martin will be back on screen, for however long as the Fugitive Doctor in The Power of the Doctor. I'm not expecting a huge amount. I'm sorry, Fugitive Doctor fans, you're not going to get to see her very much there. But she's. I just noticed that she's joined the cast of Death in Paradise, another long-running British show.
Good.
For all I know, it's just a guest performance in that. But again, they put out a publicity picture of Jo Martin, and she's in a nice costume. Her hair looks a lot more natural. She looks a lot more comfortable. And I thought, that she looks like a proper actress there, and I hope that she gets to do something nice in that, because I think she's been let down by Doctor Who as well. You know, people latched onto her, and I can see why they did, because everything that the other person in the equation was doing was so wrong. But I don't think there's any real appetite to see Jo Martin again by many people either. Most of the casual viewers haven't even worked out who she's supposed to be, even after all this time. I think people may.
What number is she again?
We don't
Heaven
know.
knows. I think that more people, Charlotte, will remember Bradley Walsh, because this is still one of the biggest faces on British TV.
He's looking old, isn't he?
He's managed to. John Bishop certainly is. He's managed, but Bradley Walsh, just as we expected, he's managed to escape being taken down with this show, hasn't he, Charlotte? You know, he's as busy now as he was before he was in Doctor Who. He's coming back for the Power of the Doctor. We broke this story before everybody else. You know, they just broke this officially a week and a half ago. We told you that here on Type 40 nearly a year and a half ago that Bradley Walsh was going to be back on this. Don't forget where you heard it first, everybody. But apparently it's going to be a bigger part of the storyline. It's not necessarily just a cameo part. So what are your thoughts about Bradley coming back to this, Charlotte? Is this a bit of a mercy as well?
I think it's a shame for Bradley's career that he's, like you said, he escaped, and then he might it's just a reminder that he was part of this, even though I have said on record, he's probably given me some of my favourite acting moments in this era, hands down. And it's going to be interesting, because it looks like just off that picture, they're going to pair him off with John. So it is going to be interesting how those two are going to interact. And because you've got two companions probably reminiscing or trying to help, I don't know, but it'd be interesting just to see what those two do, because Bradley's such a good actor. And he and John
Bishop are friends, Charlotte, in real life.
Yeah.
I've got a comment here from Cybermat Strikes, who says, I hope that Dan and Graham just hang out as a bromance. I bloody doubt. That sounds terrible.
I hope they don't kill him off.
I love that. I think those two would be electric on screen. They're both comedians. they both bring comic relief and all that sort of thing. I think
he was the best companion. It just should have been the Doctor and him.
It should have been.
Yeah.
Getting over his grief of losing his wife,
exactly.
I'd have loved that.
But with the number of guest stars and guest monsters in this, you have to think, how many minutes on screen is everybody going to get? Because I mean, the laundry list of people in this episode is as long as your arm. I mean, you know?
Yeah, it's really scary, isn't it? Because you just think, when you pack too much into something, what payoff are you going to get? There's just not going to be a lot.
That's the Chibnall way, I think, Shah. If he packs as much, that's how Flux was. Pack as much stuff in, move it as quickly as you can, and then people won't notice that it's a pile of stinking shite. Chris Chibnall has. Chris Chibnall has spoken.
So much stuff. Sorry, I'm on one tonight, Dan.
Chris Chibnall. Well, you can stay on one, because this might annoy you even more. Chris Chibnall has given some interviews over the last few days. He sort of went into hiding nearly a year ago. Nobody's heard or seen much of him. He said he was going to help his kids with his A levels, which I really feel for. I really feel for the children. But yeah, that's what he's been doing. But he has been out. He's been at the premiere. He's been giving little interviews and bits of promotion, and he said about the Power of the Doctor that it's got more visual effects shots in this than has been in any other episodes, and in his own words, lots of exploding, actual words, lots of exploding. Every sequence is massive. Every sequence is massive.
He's writing.
Chibnall assures. So even the pre-credits, it's the longest pre-credits we've ever done. That's like a little movie in itself. It's got more visual effects shots than any other episode of Doctor Who in history, which is a high demand on the visual effects team. There are lots of monsters and lots of exploding.
Chris,
Cheers,
Chris, it's your final episode as the head writer showrunner. Tell us about the bleeding story.
Yes, exactly.
He doesn't have a story.
He's hoping people won't notice that bit, Charlotte, because then they'll see the joins.
I'm sorry, even a sentence, all that it says to me is, it's noisy, it's colourful. Thank you. I'm not,
God,
Chris, I'm not 5. I need a bit more than pictures and.
Did it have a log line? Did I have a log line for this episode? What's the log line?
There used to be somewhere. It was like questions, like what is this person doing? What is that? It was like a weird thing.
They have no log line for this episode. It's crazy.
Yes, they do have it, but we'll go when we review it, when we do our live reaction review show, we'll get stuck into all of that. There are rumours that he's jam-packed it with other cameos by other characters. The one that people are latching onto, I won't go into all of them, there's so many rumours, but one that people have really latched onto is Bonnie Langford. The papers are convinced. The papers are convinced that Bonnie Langford will be back as Mel Bush in this companion to the 6th and the 7th Doctor. You know what?
Because she's a girl.
I have no idea why they've latched onto this. It could be because Bonnie Langford is still such a visible British talent, and she's just come off a long stint on EastEnders, hasn't she?
Distraction from his bad writing
at all, but she was so annoying as a companion.
She was. I've grown to appreciate her over the years since I saw Catherine Tate act. So she's one of my favourite companions now.
Always divides the fandom here. Hate Mel, but I love Bonnie, says Sam. I think most people adore Bonnie Langford.
What about Perry? Why don't they bring back Perry? Should have brought back Perry, man. She still looks good today.
She died.
No, she's alive because they did a little short, didn't they? She's alive. So
according to the short, she is. Yeah, according to the short, poor Bonnie deserves better.
Not in a
says
bikini,
problem
anyway.
being Andy from Atomic Blonde. She hated Mel. Most people did hate that character because she was way too much. She was dialed up that much back then.
She was whiny like me.
I just remember her being in that glass bubble, and it was like blowing around all over the place, and like
she's been a gem on Big Finish though.
But that's always the thing with Big Finish. They've developed so many characters, haven't they? But to the general TV audience, they won't be aware of that, I suppose.
Yeah.
And even the majority of fandom doesn't listen to Big Finish. It's something I forget sometimes too. But she loves the fact that she's associated with Doctor Who, and it still makes her a few quid. And most, I think most fans do, Matt. I think that most of us do have a lot of affection for Bonnie herself, whether it's from the audios, like you say, Gary, or just simply the fact that she's family. And maybe we'll feel that way about Mandip and Jodie in time, but
no,
maybe it's a big maybe for me. Big maybe. But I do love Sophie Aldred, and I have to say that of the promo pictures that have come out for this special, so far, that in fact, forget about this special. The entire Chris Chibnall era, I think this is the best image I have ever seen them put out. This got me so excited to see this woman, this actress, back in this role, in that jacket, holding a baseball bat. It just connected something with me from when I was a kid. I was still at school when these were on, and latching onto that character, one of my favourite companions. And I don't know. I mean, I think just Sophie still looks. She's still got such a. There's still a lot of charisma, I think, Gary.
And she still has. I noticed she still has.
If she tied her hair back, she'd look.
Gary.
She still has the Greatest Show in the Galaxy pin.
Yeah.
There, that curly Q pin there. But I mean, I love Sophie Aldred. I've actually was hoping that I still have my fingers crossed that RTD. I would love to see a spin-off series based on that season 26 promo. That they did for the Blu-ray set, because that was a great setup, and I would love to see her spun off into kind of like a Sarah Jane Adventures type spin-off like that. I hope this doesn't negate that.
Yeah, you're right.
I think that's a reality.
I told her I loved her once.
Did you? She slapped you, did she?
But that's the
No,
thing,
she
though,
went,
isn't
oh, bless. She just went.
That's the thing, though, isn't it, Matt? When these characters that we've got such a huge amount of affection for, when we see that they have joined this production in particular, you do think, just as Ian says, you think, oh God, does it have to be this one? Oh, I loved Tegan and Janet Fielding, that character. In fact, these are my two favourite classic companions. And I've always wanted to see them both back on screen. I didn't think I'd get them together. I don't know why they're together, but I suppose we'll find that out. But to have them back, but have to watch this special part of this era to see them does stick in my throat a little bit. I think I take it a little bit personally, and I can't help but wish that they could have It could have been just a couple of years later.
Yeah.
How do you feel about Janet Fielding, Matt? Obviously, she's a fellow Aussie.
Yeah, she was massive here. She really was. She was very popular, and I loved her, even though she was always arguing with the Doctor. But I think I was at that stage where I really, she was just another companion. Whereas with Ace, I saw it was sort of the time where I bloomed as a teenager. So, you just notice more things when you get to a certain age. So, but I have plenty of time for Tegan. I mean, it was fantastic having an Australian in the TARDIS at the time. And, I mean, we'll never ever have an Australian Doctor. So, it's it was good to have some Australianism inside, and plus I also got the inside jokes, about Brisbane and all that sort of stuff. So I'll be glad to see. I think you're right. I mean, it's like, do I need to watch this episode to see the past that I remember so fondly, And this is the tipping point for me. So maybe I'll just skip through these scenes and also for the regeneration, but I won't watch the whole episode.
As my granddad used to say, they've got you by the short and curlies with this. They really have, because and Simon Horton, for example, I don't think Simon Horton would have watched this special if it wasn't for the fact that Janet Fielding in particular is in it. I know that's the only reason that he's going to subject himself to the entire thing. They will get a certain degree of people back. Yeah, and it's a last shout. But there are rumours that they got certainly one, if not both, of those actors back on board by giving them the impression that this was the anniversary episode, the actual Doctor Who anniversary, rather than the centenary special. So I don't know how much truth is in that. Hopefully it'll come out
in
the wash. In the end, it'll all come out in the wash.
In the wash. Yeah.
Now, Charlotte, we've got something special obviously planned for the night of the Power of the Doctor. You're going to be here for that, aren't you? But you do have to leave us now. So before this is the last time we'll speak. This is the last time we'll speak before the
bedtime.
special. So on a scale of 1 to 10, how excited are you for the Power of the Doctor on Sunday?
I'm excited for the last 5 minutes, about an 8, because it's the regeneration. Everything else, not that bothered about, if I'm being honest. So
she'll be looking on her phone for the 85 minutes of it.
Great.
But I watch it with an oath and see what it is. I will watch it and see what they give me. But
what time does it start again?
That's the spirit. 7:30.
Yeah, 7:30. Okay. How long is it? 90 minutes.
An hour and a half. We'll see you then, Charlotte. Good night. Thanks for being here. We'll speak to you again soon. Yeah, the Power of the Doctor is on Sunday, October the 23rd, 2022. It's written by Chris Chibnall, stars Jodie Whittaker and Mandip Gill with John Bishop as well. He's there. And Bradley Walsh is back as Graham, and other people back as various other characters, we are assured. And it'll be on the iPlayer too. And it's premiering at different points all over the world. So Gary, it's the strangest thing, isn't it? Because over the last few years, every episode of Doctor Who, never mind specials, they've all been simulcast, haven't they? All across the world, and certainly particularly in North America. But that's not happening this time, is it?
No, Dan, you're completely right. In past years, especially for the big events like, for example, the Day of the Doctor or Peter Capaldi's Regeneration, it was preceded by, it was not only simulcast, as you said, but on BBC America, it was preceded by like saturation coverage for a week of Doctor Who. It was nothing but 24/7 Doctor Who. And at this point, all they're showing is they're showing a selection of Jodie episodes on the day of, preceding it. And then right after, I just checked the schedule before the stream here, and right after the first airing of the Centenary special, they're going to rerun the Day of the Doctor, and then they're rerunning Capaldi's finale. So the days of a Doctor Who mega event, which would last for days and create a momentum and an anticipation, long gone. As you said, and as you said on I think it was your last show where you mentioned what the ratings were on BBC America. I think you said it was around 200,000 for the Sea Devil special. I remember you saying, yeah, and
220,000.
Yeah, and it's just been nothing but in America, just a continual ratings plunge for the last 3 years. But
it's mad.
209,000.
Even in Australia, it made 700,000. So
wow,
that night.
I can't believe it. All mine about I switched it off halfway through. Yeah, I couldn't deal with it. Oh, that's a shame.
I think the things can only get better. I mean, I think I said on the last podcast, I am expecting a lift. I don't think it'll be a massive lift, and I don't know what they want of this. I do get the impression by the lack of promotion that the BBC genuinely just want this out of the door to usher in whatever's coming next, and that's a pity for the people who've worked on it. And of course, it is, and for the few people who've enjoyed it. I can see that there's an indignity there. But, generally speaking, I can't apologise for wanting to see the back of this era, which has been, it's been a chore to sit through, certainly for me, although I'm aware that some other opinions are available. They're out there. If you feel differently, that's absolutely fine too. Plot points, obviously we could go anywhere with that. Please check out our podcast from last week where we talked about the trailer, didn't we? Myself, Charlotte, Shah and Ian, we went through the trailer with almost frame by frame, didn't we? And we threw ideas out there about where the plot could go. We're going to find out in just a couple of days, Shah. You're laughing nervously there, because we're very close, aren't we, to finding out whether we were miles away or whether we were bang on or somewhere in between, aren't we?
I think we should be the next writers. I think we came up with absolute
I
gold.
Agree. I don't know anybody who could possibly...
I have actually taken the Monday off.
Have you? To recover?
I was going to say, you don't need to have a guess why. But I am going to be celebrating. So I thought I'd just take the Monday off. Not celebrating in a... No, like, yeah, if you can send one of those over to England, that would be wonderful. Not that I couldn't pick one up here.
I'll overnight it to you.
Oh, thank you. But yeah, it's not more of a celebration of, oh, thank God she's gone. It's more just a, thank God we can just say goodbye and have that door closed for now. We don't need to deal with this anymore, because it's been a constant barrage of from both sides just arguing it out. And I'd just love to see a little bit of calm. Doctor Who and Star Wars and Marvel are never like that, but just a tiny bit of calm before we can all come together and say, oh, wasn't David Tennant and Catherine Tate's episodes wonderful? I'd love that.
I think that debate, looking at it relatively speaking, that debate will always go on somewhere in some little corner.
It will.
If you go onto a forum, for example, Ian, there's still people discussing whether the Doctor, whether the Doctor should have kissed Grace Holloway in the TV movie. That conversation still goes on somewhere, and I'm sure these conversations will also go on. Still go on somewhere indefinitely, but it means that we can tune them out. We don't have to. They'll just become less dominant as things move on. And I think this, in my view, this will always stand as a bit of a stain on the legacy of one of the most important pop culture intellectual properties in history. And Chris Chibnall should hang his head in shame for everything that he's done creatively and critically to the show. It's been an absolute and abject disaster. But I'd like to think that they can learn from it as they move on, and that maybe they already did up to a point, and that they're going to deliver something that is at least watchable on Sunday, and that's not going to feel like a chore to get through. Russell T Davies assures us that it's like a 10-year-old's fantasy version of Doctor Who, but with muscle and punch and light and colour. And as I think I've said before, if a wordsmith like Russell T Davies, a king of publicity, if that's the best that he can do to sell it to us, we could be in for a rough ride. But whatever the weather, we're going to be here watching and talking about it. Let us know what you think in the live chat about the power of the Doctor. How are you looking forward to it? Have we got it all wrong? Are we missing the merits of this entire era? Get in touch with us through our social media or in the comments section, or come on the show by all means if you're a podcaster or content creator. Somebody asked in the chat earlier on, it was Will, wasn't it, if we could speak to people such as you, please come on. We'd be happy to have that conversation anytime for you to tell us the things that you've enjoyed about this era. It's all good. It's all good with us. I think that wraps it up with the special. I'm going to ask you the same question that I asked Charlotte. Shah, on a scale of 1 to 10, how much are you looking forward to the power of the Doctor now?
No, I am. I actually am. not necessarily for the episode because I haven't seen it. I'm going to give it a 5, I think, because I am very excited just to see what they do. And then, of course, the ending I'm extremely excited for. I've already made up my own mind of what's going to happen. So if it's anything but, then I'll be really upset. But it's fine. I'm happy to watch. Sat through every single episode of Jodie's, and I'm happy to just sort of have that as a bit of closure, whether it be good or bad, and then move on for what happens next.
I couldn't agree. I couldn't agree more.
Then, drink.
Yeah. Then open the brandy. How about you, Gary? I mean, it's an event rather than just an episode of television, isn't it? I mean, are you buzzing a little for the entire thing?
Well, I was thinking that in the past, regenerations have always been a mix of sadness for the ending, but anticipation for what's coming. I mean, when Matt Smith left, I was in tears during his final speech, and I was bereft when Peter Capaldi left. Here, it's pretty much all no sadness, but all anticipation. So I'm right there with Shar. I'm kind of at a 5. I'm actually more looking forward to the Spacebook post show than I am because I'm going to be right there. I'm going to be right there in the chat with all my chat buddies as you guys kind of break things apart. But no, I agree with everything Shar said. I'm really looking forward to seeing how they handle the end. Who comes back? Do they show anything? I'm keeping my fingers crossed massively that things are retconned before Chibnall goes. So yeah, I'll stick with a 5.
And how about you, Ian? Obviously, you haven't watched any of this stuff. This is very much a comeback for you as well. Are you anticipating this in any way? Can you rate it, or is it just something you're riding out to see what happens?
I can rate it. I am going to ride it out, obviously. Just like 2. I'm not really excited about it at all. I didn't really care about this era for obvious reasons, which we won't go through because we've said it 1,000 times why it doesn't work. But the only thing I'm looking forward to is the regeneration. And that's the only thing I'm looking forward to. See how they do that, whether she explodes, whether she gets shot, whether something falls on her, whether she drowns. But I can go on forever, really.
Ian wants it to be as painful as possible.
Exactly.
So that's the feeling. That's the feeling from a lot of people in the chat. It's all celebration, says Raymond Williams there, and a lot of people feel largely the same. They just want it. They just want it all over and done with.
Yeah.
And who are we to argue with that? Because those are genuine reactions, and they've only got themselves. They've only got themselves to blame, haven't they? So that's the power of the Doctor. We'll be here live on YouTube directly after the special to talk about it here. Some of us in and out. We're not quite sure how it's going to work yet. We're still putting that together, but don't miss that. Be here at the Spacebook channel sometime just after the episode airs, and we'll be here with our instant reactions to the power of the Doctor and the most anticipated regeneration in the history of Doctor Who. I think that's certainly true of the fan base, because we don't know for certain who will be stood there when the regeneration energy fizzles out. Will we? We have no idea who's going to be there for the very, very first time. Okay, I think we've got. Let's
What about Matt? What about Matt?
Yeah,
we didn't.
Sorry, Matt. Yeah, go on. You give us a scale of 1 to 10. I thought last year. Give us a scale of 1 to 10.
Am I still here?
There's that much time interrupting other people. I just assumed he'd already said.
I did. Well, I did do a poll on Twitter with whether or not people wanted me to watch it or not, because I haven't. To me, Capaldi is still the Doctor. I've not seen his final episode. That was on purpose. So, a lot of people were saying no, don't watch it. Just to me, it could go straight from Capaldi to Mr. Tennant or whoever is going to be the next Doctor. So, but there's things, I have to admit, there are things in this episode that I kind of really want to see. So I might cheat a bit and might actually watch it. So, and also it's on Australian television the next night. So, and it's also going to be live streaming as soon as you guys get it. So we'll be able to get it. So maybe I'll watch it.
Oh, you will be able to. You will be able to leave, even though it's not on television. It will be streaming simultaneously, so you do have some way. Oh, that's not as bad as the situation that Gary's in America there.
Yep.
That's
yep.
interesting.
No, it's streaming. Yep. Yeah. No, they did that because a lot of people were pirating Doctor Who.
Right.
So for many years.
Do you all get iPlayer stream?
No,
yes, we get night player stream. Yep.
Watch it.
Yeah.
We have this thing called iView here.
Sky.
So it'll be on that
I
first.
didn't know if it was like BBC America streaming or like, I don't know, BBC Australia streaming.
No.
This is the channel to watch, guys. After the show, watch this channel. No other channel. No other substitutes. Watch Facebook. watch Type 40.
Yeah,
Definitely watch Type 40.
We'll be here.
When
We'll
the ball drops, this is where you want to be.
Exactly.
It's like on New Year's Eve.
When the ball drops, well, they've clearly got the cock by the
I wasn't
poster.
speaking. I wasn't speaking. I wasn't speaking.
I'm bad, Char.
We'll bring the ball. Has to be said. It has to be said, doesn't it? But, it has to be said. I have no idea. I don't think I wanted to hear it.
You said I said, and you think I'm bad, Shah, with my comments.
I know, but when you're bad, you're so good.
There you go.
Okay, so here we are,
baby.
back at it, back in the gallery for a look at some pretty pictures. I think we've got to finish off with some pretty pictures, all for the love of Doctor Who. Who will be there when the titles roll on The Power of the Doctor? Will it be this man? Will it be David Tennant, the former 10th Doctor? Will he be the next man in the frame too? We're going to have to wait and watch and find out what's going to happen. But people, it's caught their imaginations already, including Custom Dave, who's made a custom figure there of the 10th Doctor. Put it next to the police box there, the Jodie Whittaker police box that goes with the character action figures, to create this little scene of what the future Doctor that David Tennant's going to be playing, what he could look like there in action. These customs are wonderful, aren't they, Matt? What people can do with these figures, painting them up, cutting the plastic, shaving bits here, snapping heads off and putting different limbs in different places. It's brilliant, isn't it?
Yeah, I've started doing action figure photography too on my Instagram. So yeah, I get a lot of Universal monsters and that, and doing them in black and white. So
good idea.
Yeah, this sort of stuff is just amazing. What people can do, and you know, it's so good that they've actually made the figures to a quality that you can do that. You know.
Yeah.
Putting it together there with Jodie's police box is pretty clever. Nice little touch, I think, of what could be to come. Obviously, we don't know how much Tennant is going to feature in the 60th. We don't know who else is going to be there, but we know there will be other people there. We're pretty certain they are. It's understandable that's caught people's imagination when we've seen David Tennant running around Bristol like that, wasn't it, Shaw? Full of energy. Him there with Catherine Tate, like the last 14 years were just passed in the blink of an eye.
Yeah. No time at all, really, was it? But yeah, I love how he's even captured how dishevelled his tie is and things like that. I think that's wonderful. Yeah, always love that kind of thing. But it's just getting me really excited. I'm not going to lie.
Regeneration itself has also inspired some fan art. We've got this from Camille McKenzie on Twitter. She was speculating that it would be a pity if the regeneration effect was the same sort of golden crackle. Yeah. She'd quite like to see a purpley crackle, Matt. I'm not really sure why, but this is quite a nice bit of fan art, isn't it?
Pretty.
Yeah, one of the things that really, like, I used to look forward to with regenerations was how they were going to do it, like what sort of special effect they were going to do. And since this new era, it's been the same old. So I totally agree with it with Camille there. It's you know, it's time for a change. It's time for something to, you know, even if they did the whole, you know, the same effect, but it was a different color, you know, they need to do something to really make it special.
I agree.
I suppose that back when we got the regeneration from Matt Smith into Peter Capaldi, Ian, that was a little different, wasn't it? They did the whole reset thing.
I always hoped that what they would do was he or she, whoever the Doctor, would change while moving. I always thought that would be fucking awesome if he was in the TARDIS and he'd be moving.
Wow.
and saying his goodbyes, and suddenly as he stops to one point, he's suddenly the new Doctor.
But he's got to be
I
dead first before he does that.
No, you don't have to be dead, because as it's proven with the other Doctors, like when went from Tennant to Matt, he wasn't dead, was he? I mean, basically he blew up. Is he dead? No, he wasn't dead. But yeah,
okay.
So, yeah. So there you go. But anyway, I think that would be a really good idea if they did that. That would be awesome.
You know what I would have loved? Sorry, I won't go on a tangent, I promise you, because I know it's so late. But I would have loved to have seen Capaldi actually restart to regenerate, and then him get thrown out of the TARDIS, and then you know how when he regenerates, sorry Matt, I know you've not seen it, when he regenerates and then Jodie starts falling out of the TARDIS and you see her sort of landing London, Earth or Sheffield or wherever it is. I would have actually loved to have seen Peter fall out of the TARDIS, and then when it cuts back, then we would have seen Jodie. I thought that would have looked awesome. But hey, that was just my thing.
That would have been good.
It could have been more inventive with it. I think particularly ushering in a new visual style the way they did. That's because right. I've reviewed The Woman Who Fell to Earth bloody twice, but the thing that I liked about that, the thing that I liked about that episode was that it did feel and look fresh, and generally speaking, but I think that choices like that, they still went with fairly safe ideas creatively. It was quite a disappointment in that respect. Jamie Knight says they can fade to white and rob us of a decent regeneration. I don't care because their time is over. This is something I hear quite a lot too. I think, again, I don't feel the same way as Jamie does, but I think it's a perfectly valid take. I could see entirely why he feels that way. Jack says, kind of what you were saying there, Matt. For him, 12 didn't really regenerate. He just went on vacation.
Flew off in the TARDIS. He just flew off in the TARDIS.
The Meta Whovian says, you will be live and negative, people of the pudding brains. We love you too, Meta Whovian. Thank you for that one. Well,
I'll salute you.
Listen, this isn't negativity. This isn't negativity. This is honesty. These are honest. These are always honest opinions. Other opinions are available and perfectly welcome here.
He's
as
entitled.
Always.
He's
I'm
entitled.
happy to be a pudding brain. Happy to be a pudding brain any time. And what else is here? Yeah, lots more comments. He's so dreamy, says Carol Jude. I think she's talking about the David Tennant action figure there. And will he still be wearing Jodie's undergarments?
They'll be very uncomfortable. I can tell you that for free.
I know, yeah.
Yes, he'll be fishing that one from within. I won't go there. Yes, so that's a great one there from Camille. And we've also got this one from Kelly Rosen on Twitter. I think this one is quite beautiful. It's a painting they've done in a kind of anime style. Yeah. And I'm not sure what they're all looking at. I think that's because they're all done in that sort of style, aren't they? That they're made to look slightly like children. That's part of the appeal of this kind of artwork. But I think the colours here are really rather beautiful. Yeah, I just like this. I think it's nicely done, Kelly. Well done.
Two people are looking in one direction and Yaz is looking in another, isn't she? Or is she?
Yaz seems to be like looking at the Doctor.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, it was nicely done. I like the effect on the Doctor's coat.
I like the colours.
Yeah, it's just really really warm, and I do like this. I like a blend of traditional art and digital art, and I think that's a nice example of it there. We are very interested in the work of all fan artists here. If you're a fan artist and you're watching or you're listening, get in touch and send us some of your work, and we'll get it up on screen and we'll give you our honest opinions. We're always kind with other artists because we genuinely want to encourage all creativity here at Type 40 and Type 40 Live. Rainbow Thong asks Star.
Yes, Sarah.
She's not here. She's not here to ask these questions in person this time. She can ask them covertly. From the chat.
Is that something that she's dreading or that she wants?
I don't know. Who knows?
It's Dan, says Heather Sulu. Oh, is that supposed to be Dan there? It's just generic middle-aged bloke.
It looks like Rory a little bit.
Or it could be me.
I thought it was Fox Mulder.
Does look a bit like him.
Good painting. Love the clouds and stars. Yeah,
it's nice. It's nice.
Yeah, it's a nice style.
She looks feminine there. It's weird.
It's got a mood about it. She does look feminine. Tony L says she's my favourite illustrator. Lovely picture and colours. So again, Tony, this is the first thing I've ever seen by Kelly Rosen. So yeah, I think I am following her now on Twitter. If you do like this stuff, go and see what else Kelly's doing. She's probably on Instagram too, I would say. I don't know what else she's into, probably Harry Potter and things like that. But yeah, I'd like to see more there, more from Kelly. Absolutely. And we have the fact that this Sunday, of course, we're going to get to see, I don't think it's a spoiler to say, that we're going to get to see a rematch, aren't we, between Ace and the Daleks. And finally, we've got this piece from Lee Binding, who's the artist on the Blu-ray collector's boxes. A lot of BBC stuff Lee does a lot of the artwork on as T-Lady design. And he knocked up this quick little sketch here of Ace skulking in a corridor there. Looks like could be on a Dalek ship, I think, Matt. But there's a golden Dalek behind her. And I think she's about to give it a good hiding. What do you reckon, mate?
Yeah, I would have loved it if it had been a silver Dalek. But anyway, yes, it looks fantastic.
I know that it's a bit weird to say, but it almost looks like that Dalek is saying, like, "Oh shit!" Like, it's that woman.
Yeah, it gets me excited again. Just to see the sort of stuff that I was familiar with.
Stuff that's possible.
Yeah.
It's
very much so.
Full of potential, full of attitude, full of imagination, and Sophie Aldred absolutely still has the kind of star quality that she had as a young woman playing Ace originally there.
She's always
on the screen.
To me,
absolutely.
Yeah. I think that's a lovely note to wrap things up on. We're looking forward. Well, I'm looking forward to seeing Sophie and Janet back on. Janet, we know Janet. She can be somewhat outspoken. So can Tegan. That could probably go anywhere, but I'm down.
She's an Australian woman. What do you expect, Dan?
Yeah, that's true.
You want to know why I'm single? Come on.
Lee Binding's artwork is obviously very, very popular. The DVD and Blu-ray sleeves in particular, people do love those. They're so distinctive. He puts so much work into not just the front covers, but all the interior artwork. You can go and follow him on Twitter and Facebook too to see lots of the stuff that he does, not just on Doctor Who. It really is beautiful stuff. Awesome poster. I do like Lee Binding's work, says Starry. Richard Brooks notes that orange and teal is used too much in these illustrations. You know what, Richard? It probably is. I think that's a fair...
I'm loving the purple, yeah.
I think that's a fair comment. Great stuff, but we need different colours. I've seen worse, says Matthew Pound. That's...
Very good. Very good.
Faint praise. Yeah, but that's it. Yes, we're close to the power of the Doctor. That's nearly here. Will there be any works of art up on screen, courtesy of Chris Chibnall? I'll be honest, the odds are against it, but you never know. Let us know what you think of it all. What you think of all of this, the anticipation. Let us know in the comment section down there, or get in touch with us through our social media, Instagram and Twitter, at Type 40 Doctor Who, or come and join us in the Type 40 Facebook group, where, as always, there will be a dedicated pin thread there for people to discuss the special. Heck, while it's actually airing, some people do that. We get the minutes, how people feel about every single plot beat over in the Type 40 Facebook group. Hey, people watch this stuff however they watch it. I'm not going to judge anybody for that. But yeah, we're counting down the days. We're going to be here live on YouTube after the show for more. The party starts here at the Spacebooks Type 40 with us and whoever we manage to wrestle into our TARDIS to talk about their reactions to this latest of many monumental events in the history of Doctor Who. Yeah, we're going to be there, but that's it. That's it for this time. Thank you to everybody who's been here in the Type 40 for this journey. To Charlotte Shields for a start. She's off. She's probably tucked up in bed right now, dreaming of the power of the
Dreaming
Doctor.
of who?
Exactly.
Who will be the next
And,
Doctor?
Who will it be?
Yeah, exactly.
Ian David
It's going to be
Diaz,
like
of course.
Father Christmas bringing something.
I salute you all.
It's going to bring us a new Doctor, however, and a new era. I think that's a gift in itself. But yeah, thanks for joining me for this one, Ian. We've done a couple of hours on this special now.
Right.
Only a couple more hours to go. Matt, I'm glad you could make it. Enjoy the rest of your day, mate.
Yep, thank you. I will.
He's from the future.
I'm going to the doctor, so yeah, I'm absolutely looking forward to it.
Okay, well, I hope that goes well. Shah, have we opened the hard stuff yet? Are we done with that?
Oh, it's a Thursday. Oh wait, no excuse. No, not as of right now, but give it time.
Friday, she's wasted. So there you go.
I know. I messaged Dan on Saturday. I just put Steve in.
Oh, what were you sending?
I asked her if she got home safe, and she said, "Got home. I'm still out."
There you go.
I'll give you my number.
She said it got messy, but she wasn't. I checked the news the next morning. She wasn't on breakfast TV or on
some point.
Yeah, you haven't got an asbo or anything like that, so she's okay. Yeah, all right there. But yeah, thanks for being with us this time, Shah. I don't know if you can make it on Sunday or not, but I'll certainly send you the invitation. You're more than welcome. Love to always hear your latest geeky rambles. Gary, great to have you back. I don't know what time of day it is for you there.
It's just 2 p.m. 69 hours to go. And Dan, as always, just an incredible pleasure, being with all of you, and letting me be part of the pre-special celebration. And I just want to end with 4 words: mega geek for PM.
I don't think we can follow that, can we? Thanks to everybody who's been watching and commenting along on YouTube and Facebook. As always, we'll be here for the power of the Doctor. We'll see you on the other side. Can't wait to hear what you've got to say about it. And I'm certain we'll have lots to say too. Please like this video, subscribe to the channel, particularly if you don't want to miss that. Subscribe to the channel and hit the cloister bell so you get all the notifications about what we're doing next and when we're doing it. Thanks again, everybody. Good luck to the rest of you out there. We're nearly there. She's nearly gone. That's it for this time. Type 40 Live. Back same time next week. We'll see you then.
See you.